The municipality of North Cypress-Langford is located to the south of Neepawa, bordering the town on three sides and stretching south past Carberry as far as Shiloh to the west and Edrins to the east. Total population for the area is 2,860, with a land area of 1,762 square kilometers within 6 wards. An ongoing project of the municipality of North Cypress-Langford, the update of the zoning bylaws to integrate the two former municipalities, has taken another step towards completion with its first public hearing this month. The town of Neepawa, which is adjacent to North Cypress-Langford and shares a major highway artery, came forward with comments on how to best integrate those new zoning bylaws with its own. While the municipality is only responsible to take the comments under advisement, the town is a major part of the trading area for the municipality, and they have for a long time worked together to provide a united front on many municipal issues. Before amalgamation, Langford and Neepawa also belonged to the same planning district. 3 representatives from Manitoba Transportation and Infrastructure brought a delegation before council to update them on their response to June's tragic collision that took the lives of 17 people. Right now, they are still gathering data about traffic patterns, average speeds, road conditions, and signage, and expect to have a draft report by the end of September. The immediate response from Highways was to refresh the paint on the road, renew the rumble strips, and call attention to current signage. Their investigation will inform them as to what next steps should be, both in the short term and in the long term. They stress that they are taking the situation seriously and understand the feeling of urgency, but they will not be making any changes to the intersection until they understand what impact those changes will have. Council took the opportunity to also call to their attention the effect that disrepair of other local roads was having on trade, particularly cross-border. Council also saw a delegation from a local landowner who had erected a gate across a municipal road allowance. Note that this was a road allowance, not a developed road, and the allowance in question lay between adjacent properties leased by the same landowner. This calls back to an ongoing problem in the municipality, that of ATV users from outside the community doing damage to leased Crown land and private property. The gate was an attempt to prevent further damage without having to fence each side of the road allowance separately, while still allowing access for the municipal fire department. Council also discussed other steps they could take to address the ATV issue. Outside of the 3 presenters, the majority of Council's business was updates on ongoing issues and projects, including the 2021 and 2022 audits, municipal land leases, staff training, and reports submitted by other organizations. CAO Trish Fraser put forward a few bylaw updates that resulted from combining older bylaws from the previous municipalities in order to further clean up the books. Councillor Jardine teased what he called an explosive announcement coming out of Prairie Mountain Health in the next week, but was unable to elaborate further at this time. Following is the municipality of North Cypress-Langford's August meeting in its entirety.
Call the meeting to order. Resolution 188, 2023, be it resolved that the meeting be convened at 9 a.m. with Reed Grayson in the chair. May I have a mover, please?
Sure.
Seconder. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Resolution 189, 2023, be it resolved that the agenda for the regular meeting on July 10th, 2023 be adopted as circulated. Can I have a mover, please? Seconder? Anybody have anything to add to the agenda?
I think I gotta change that to August.
Yep.
Sure.
Okay.
Sorry.
We all right, you two, with that change?
Yep.
Still stuck in July.
And this would be the 14th instead of the 10th.
I've got the 14th, yeah.
This one's
It's
got
on
the
there,
10th
actually.
on here though.
No, I know, anyway, it's changed.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Adoption of the minutes, resolution 190, 2023, be it resolved that the minutes for the regular meeting of July 10th, 2023, and the joint meetings of minutes of July 24th, 2023 be adopted as circulated. Could I have a mover, please? Second, Harold?
Yeah.
Any question on those minutes of the last two meetings?
I think I sent them out.
Yeah.
Any questions? Yeah.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried, thank you.
So yeah, our delegations aren't till a little bit later, and we do have a public hearing at 9:15 for that zoning.
Oh, okay.
So you can
Might as
just
well
go with
keep
the
on going
finance.
on
Yeah,
here.
go for it.
Finance and accounts, resolution 191, 2023, be it resolved, financial statement for July 2023 be referred to council. Do I have a mover, please?
Grant.
Seconder,
Malcolm.
Malcolm.
I do want to comment on the financials. I was struggling with Unisoft, but they did an update, and I don't know what's going on. But anyway, my reserves aren't balancing, so it all is good, but I just couldn't provide you with the report.
What a payments this month, eh?
Oh, yeah, that's hence tax revenues coming in, so. Yeah, so we've got a lot of grants that we were paying out. So it's good, yeah, that last payable was a big chunk, so, yeah, it's been really busy. Hello, Rachel. Anybody else have any questions about?
Questions on that, Tim?
Yeah, so Town of Nipoa, what did we pay them? That was for the, police and the fire.
Fire.
Yeah. The contract that was.
Grand entrance.
Oh. That chair available or not?
Any chair here, yeah.
There we are. Oh,
I thought you just about made me jump up there.
Grand entrance.
I can slide down.
any more questions on that one then, please? All in favor? Opposed? Carried, thank you.
Yeah, you can just go on to the check.
Resolution 192, 2023, be it resolved that the accounts check number 29812 to check number 29938 totaling $1,096,180.96 and direct deposits withdrawals totaling $85,033.29 be approved for payment. Have a mover, please. Seconder.
Grant.
I think Dallas sort of, or
Yeah.
Chris sort of explained them. You're gonna go there. Any other questions on any of those checks, whatever it is? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Planning matters. Public hearing, zoning bylaw. Resolution 193, 2023, be it resolved that council adjourn its regular meeting at
We're a little early, Mr. Chair. 9:07.
9:07. Time is supposed to be 19.
9:15.
At 9:07, for the purpose of holding a public hearing for the review of MCL zoning bylaw 7/2022. Do I have a mover, please? Second,
Malcolm.
any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Carried, thank you. Welcome, everybody. You might as well go around the table and introduce everybody around here. Comrade Rayson, brief, North Cypress-Langford.
Murray Parrott, Deputy Mayor, Nipoa.
Karen Davidson, Counselor, North Cypress-Langford.
Grant Jardine, Counselor, North Cypress-Langford, Ward 3.
I'm Rachel Andrews, I'm the Development Officer for the Cypress Planning District.
Harold Bolton, Counselor.
Malcolm Murray, Counselor.
Jeff Braun, Development Officer, Building Inspector, Newport Area Planning District.
Jody Baker, Town of Nipoa.
Welcome. You bring a bus?
Just Murray's.
Or just Marie? Had to get here somehow or other, eh?
He makes himself at home.
I'm on here already.
Yeah, I will.
My boss.
Perfect.
He's councilman.
I know that feeling.
Just at home.
Wanna wait till 9:15
If you
when we
don't
start
mind, Mr. Chair,
talking
just-
about it? Yep.
Yeah,
okay.
just to make sure we catch everybody who wants to be here.
Yep. week for that, that's no problem. Okay, go ahead, Rachel.
Perfect. So as we've been discussing over the course of many months now, we finally got to a point where we've opened up the public hearing for North Cypress-Langford zoning bylaw. And again, this is the discussion of merging the two existing zoning bylaws into one. So we had in the first reading, obviously that's been a while, we did our first reading in November 2022. So kind of a work in progress. Now with that being said, the maps are just drafts. We had gone around the table a few times to discuss modifying those maps into what council felt was appropriate. Now that we're in the public hearing, we have received some comments and concerns from the town of Nipwa and Nipwa area planning. We haven't received any other comments or concerns from any additional ratepayers or landowners. But with that being said, I have had a few in-person meetings with a couple different individuals, not necessarily concerns, just wanting to figure out, because we did blend the RR4 into the RR5. So there was a lot of discussion about what would be happening in that situation with specific to animal units in the Byram subdivision. And again, that will be the only RR5 subdivision that allows animal units, only because it was in a pre-existing allotment. Again, most of our RR5s and even some of our RR10s have developers agreements that stipulate that we can't have animal units. But other than that, we tried, again, working as the zoning bylaw committee and the consultant and Cypress Planning to try to blend everything from what we had before into what we have now. But there's always a bit of growing pains with how we're going to handle that, because again, some of our bylaws are fairly outdated, so we had to bring them into what we would consider compliant with today's standards. So they didn't quite blend as nicely as we had hoped. But was there any questions? Now again, we had circulated this out for provincial comment twice. And in fact, North Cypress sent it out 3 times with provincial comments. And again, just trying to make sure that we got everything addressed to their standard. Yeah, that's pretty much where we're at this point. Like I said, we've been discussing this for quite a while. So.
Okay. We want to start with, you want to go through your presentation? Sure.
So I'll maybe just say the Nipwa Planning District actually met first on this and discussed various things that they really wanted to bring forward. And then afterwards, we took a stab at it for council, and of course this morning I amended it again because we still had something to add. So this is going to be a joint presentation from the planning board and from the town of Nipwa. So thanks for the opportunity to provide input into the proposed bylaw. Land use planning helps communities establish their vision for the future use of land, resources, and natural features, and outlines the steps required to achieve that vision. It involves managing the use of land and recognizing the interrelationship between the use of land and the physical trading area patterns, and the resulting social, environmental, and economic implications. As you review the proposed planning documents and the feedback received on this matter, the town of Nipwa formally requests that you take into consideration how the changes will ultimately impact the town of Nipwa. Although Langford now politically meets and governs as part of a different entity, amalgamations did not change the established trading patterns of the area, and we welcome any opportunity to ensure a seamless and mutually agreeable transition between urban and rural land areas. So the following would be reflective of our major points of the document. Number 1, this is just a recommendation. When we did our zoning bylaw back in 2018, we actually used LiDAR information and included maps for flood elevations. We would recommend that you incorporate those flood elevation maps into your bylaw to clearly outline the flood risk and flood fringe areas. We refer to them all the time. Jack probably does as well. It's a valuable development tool that we can mitigate, prohibit, and restrict development on hazard lands. So I'll give you an example. There's lands that currently sit in the flood risk zone. People coming into the office wanting to build a new house should something happen there. I've actually sent letters out saying that should that happen someday, or 50% greater in destruction of your house under fire, there is no possibility of you rebuilding. So part of the mitigation, the importance of those maps, we can actually show somebody what we're talking about rather than, oh, you're just bullshitting me, or council will approve it, whatever. It's been a very good document or a tool for us. Number 2, the PTH functional design study. This was created in 2004 for the area that runs through Nipwa. It's basically a 19-year-old document that we follow quite avidly, and when we look at development on PTH 16. And probably smaller areas that would be affected by this particular zoning bylaw in Langford jurisdiction and North Cypress-Langford. But we would recommend that in clause 2.23, at least you refer to it, so that when you discuss anything that happens along the PTH 16-year loop law, you understand there is an overreaching document with maps and whatnot that will form basically, when it comes to fruition, a 4-lane divided access highway through Nipawak. There's going to be meridians, there's going to be closures of various access points created along PTH 16, and we follow that and adhere to that as much as we can. So at least if you understand it exists and it's referenced somewhere in your document as things come forward, because let's just say some development occurs along PTH 16 and it's a conditional use application, we would be objecting based on the fact that this might be one of our important points that we need to look at. We also understand that if it went through a circulation process with the province, they would also reference the study. Looking at the Nipawak Airport, we're concerned with the lack of reference to the Nipawak Airport. It doesn't even appear to be covered as an existing use within the bylaw, whether as a permitted use or a conditional use. So as much as I know it exists, nothing's going to happen about it. It would be looked on as basically non-conforming and prohibited, and I cited the pages here. So we would recommend adding a definition and incorporating the same into table 3.10 of the NG zone. Other concerns relate to the development that may hinder the use of the airport as intended. Safety is key, as is proper siting of land uses that do not render this use ineffective or unable to carry on in its full capacity. Details within the document that reference compliance with Transport Canada either relate more to a farm-based air landing strip as an accessory use. It does not really speak to the primary use of the land, which is an airport. Then we would look at height restrictions that may also apply in that regard. Lastly, it was great to talk about wind development projects. Although the document references laws under Transport Canada, it does not provide sufficient certainty that individual accessory structures will be regulated and not conflict with the Nipawak Airport. We will admit that we don't know a lot about wind energy or anything in that regard because it wouldn't necessarily apply to us. So we're asking some time to be spent for the confidence in Nipawak that when you create your zoning bylaw that those things are looked at. The number 4, the Commercial Central Zoning District. Section 3.13 of the Commercial Central Zoning District is noted on the map only for a portion that would be an extension to the CH Commercial Highway Zone designated in the town of Nipawak. This CC designation is not consistent with the town's C8 designation and places some parcels as non-compliant. This also leads to the potential for incompatibility regarding uses that might be approved on or near the PTH 16, whether in North Cypress-Langford or Nipawak. So for example, dwellings deemed as a conditional use in the North Cypress-Langford zoning bylaw are actually not allowed under the town of Nipawak zoning bylaw. We further note that the document does not provide for the 2 existing large farm implement dealerships that are situated within this zone. These uses would then also be non-compliant and non-conforming, similar to our airport. The zone also notes that livestock is prohibited in the central commercial. We would also recommend that no animal keeping be included. So we would like a review of this zone to ensure compatibility with Nipawak zoning bylaw, and we'd be willing to work Jeff's office and us with you on that. Inclusion of uses that currently exist and the inclusion of no animal keeping in addition to the prohibition for livestock. If you look at the MG Industrial General Zone, page 69, regarding the accessory dwelling provisions, we would also recommend providing for residential as part of the industrial building to the rear of the building. This would align with similar provisions that we have in our zoning bylaw. Number 6, short-term rentals. Short-term rentals appear in the narratives as conditional or a conditional accessory use in the AR, AL, GD, CP, and AGR zones, subject to inspections for health and safety. This use, however, does not appear in the tables for any of these zones. Based on the recent concerns and the increasing interest to create short-term rentals, we recommend a further review to accommodate this use appropriately in a manner that does not cause conflict and undue hardship to any neighboring properties or land use. Further, this document does not provide any indication of whether short-term rentals would be acceptable within the RR2, RR5, and RR10 zones. The only provision that may allow a short-term rental in the residential zones would be by reading page 8, which, although prohibits uses that are not listed, provides the ability to find an equivalency. As a result, would a bed and breakfast, for example, be deemed an equivalency? This would now fall under section 4.6 of the home-based business and then permissible in several zones, which would appear to conflict with the conditional and conditional accessory uses per above. We would recommend clarity to distinguish between bed and breakfast and short-term rentals to avoid conflict within the document, as well as A review to either prohibit or set parameters to ensure orderly and non-conflicting development for this type of use within a residential zone. So, as much as this isn't necessarily going to have an impact on us, it's going to impact you, but we are, as we do a review of our 2018 bylaw, we are going to put better information in our bylaw as well to speak to short-term rentals, because they are different from bed and breakfast. Number 7, the AGR Agricultural Livestock Operation Restricted Zone. Under the Langford bylaw number 856, the old bylaw, it provides for a buffer of land around Neepawa and recreational designated areas where only existing livestock operations are allowed with minimal expansion. This zone also provides for the preservation of land for general and specialized agricultural activities and various rural land uses that are compatible with agricultural activities. Within this zone, this bylaw said, there's no new livestock operations, and those up to 99 animal units would come in as a conditional use. Now, if you look at the proposed bylaw number 7-2022, it indicates this zone is intended to further limit the size of livestock operations close proximity to an urban center by providing a buffer around the town of Neepawa where only existing livestock operations are allowed with minimal opportunity for expansion. So it reads reasonably similar. However, what your bylaw says now is no new operations, which is the same. Livestock operations up to 100 animal units are a permitted use, but now it offers conditional use for livestock from 101 to 250 animal units. So that increases the possibility of having greater livestock in that buffer. So it is the position of the town of Neepawa that there are significant differences between the land use planning document created when the former land area was involved with the Neepawa Area Planning District and the proposed document as part of the Cypress Planning District. Such changes altering and eroding the protection afforded by the originally intended AGR buffer around Neepawa under bylaw 856, and now also conflicting with lands directly adjacent to the R. Rosedale, which remain at the top of 99. Neepawa would respectfully request that consideration be given to reevaluate the proposed document and continue with provisions contained in the old bylaw for this zone, which basically said no new operations, and either a 99 or if you want to use the number 100 cap, that would be fine as well. This would ensure that the land buffer surrounding Neepawa reflects operations that are limited in size and setback requirements, and applications are vetted through a conditional use process. The proposed changes threaten to fragment the protection afforded when Langford was part of the planning process under the Neepawa Area Planning District and erodes the consistency that existed on all four sides of Neepawa. Under general livestock matters, there appears to be ambiguity between the narratives in the document, a few of the setback values, and the information contained in the tables. From the perspective of the reader, we would recommend clarity to distinguish between the various criteria. For example, when prohibiting new livestock operations and allowing for expansion, it's recommended that lines be inserted into the tables to distinguish between new and expanding. In our experience, individuals will focus their immediate attention on the tables and inadvertently miss relevant information that appears elsewhere in the document. For example, if a person was looking in the bylaw to find out what is allowable for livestock in the AGR zone, the table, as it's currently written, does not indicate that new operations cannot be established. Also recommend reviewing the parameters and provisions for animal keeping, which would assist in removing the ambiguity surrounding the 9 or 10 animal unit provisions. A definition does appear on page 109, but there is no reference to animal keeping anywhere in the document. The following, I have a list of items here that I will not read through, and basically the summary here is that as you complete your document, when I was reading it, I looked at what was contradictory between the narratives and between the actual tables and whatnot. So like I say, everybody goes to the tables first. We do, all the time. If I don't go back to the RR2 and RR5 and see that livestock is prohibited, if you read the tables, it looks like it is. Some of it as a conditional use or permitted use. So the clarity needs to exist between both. So I've just noted the things that look contradictory. There's a few points as well where it said up to 9 animal units, and in the table it says up to 10 animal units. So it's just to clarify various things. And I guess in the end, rather than read this, because like I say, everybody be flipping to see what's said on one page versus the other. And then the last thing here is just some things we noted that we referred to the long tables and that kind of thing. We would look to welcome any participation in moving forward and making sure that we are satisfied in the end. And I'm not saying you have to do it our way. We would like to at least see what existed in the old bylaw kind of mirrored over so that the protection is still there. Anything you want to add?
No, I guess just a little bit further on the animal units, I think we discussed that with Rachel, like the difference between livestock keeping and keeping of animals. I mean, we notice a great deal, like, I mean, you can have like a livestock operation is 10 animal units or greater, but you can have a lot of chickens under 10 animal units and not be livestock. So I think we just kind of discussed a little bit of clarity on if there was a set number or something just referring to animal keeping under that 10 animal units, right? Like, just for,
Yeah, because there's a difference between 20 and 200.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, a cow or a horse is one thing.
So,
but
so
yeah,
just
like-
to add to that, within our zoning bylaw, we actually say it's a small building of 2 acres out in our rural residential. We say you can have so many horses, so many this, so many chickens, and the numbers are actually reduced greatly enough that it makes sense. If you use the criteria in here for 9 or 10 animal units, you could have a massive amount of chickens and turkeys, and there is a difference.
And we had discussed that at length in the committee. If you remember, we talked about the discussion of should we list out an exact animal breakdown or if we should leave it to the animal units. And we tried to keep it open, but I definitely can appreciate the, having a list, because again, where anyone who's technical based who looks at something like this fairly often, to understand an animal unit calculation, that's one thing, but for general public who hops on the website to see how many chickens or how many horses they can have, it's a lot easier to have it written out. Because honestly, especially in the rural residentials, that's the first question I get. Can I have chickens? Can I have a couple of horses?
How many?
Yeah, and how many? Yeah. Can I have a pig?
Yeah.
We get those questions all the time.
Yeah.
It was something we presented down in Glenborough at their public hearing as well, about having that actual breakdown listed out instead of an animal unit calculation. So.
The larger operations, how big a buffer zone are we talking? Like around the town of Newport?
Let's see, we have to look at our map. We had, it should be half a line or something.
Yeah,
Did I not?
3/4 and 1/6. Yeah, it's a weird shape.
There we go. So again, going around, we've had many discussions on this. Obviously, it's always going to be a work in progress, even if we get it as nice as we want it, and we'll always find something to address. Without,
And even after it's done.
yeah, for sure. Well, and that's the thing, especially with the fact that our zoning bylaws haven't been touched, or North Cypress-Langford zoning bylaws haven't been touched in a while, and we're always going to find things to address, and we're always going to find things that we should have done differently to make it more user-friendly and workable through our offices as well as with the general public. Simply with the fact that there's quite a bit of comments to kind of go through, and some of them I have gone through already, because we actually had a kind of a phone call meeting discussion about this prior. I've already flagged a handful of things that I definitely want to review and address. There were a handful of stipulations that were brought up that were actually sent through with the province, so I have to go back and verify that everything can be kind of blended out nicely. Because I know, especially specific to animal units and the buffer around Nipawin, that's actually what happened in the second and third provincial comments, as we actually got comments kicked back. So I have to make sure that we can blend everything nicely, and that we didn't, again, especially because I've read this document many times. Sometimes my interpretation of it is what my brain wants to see, and it's not actually what's in black and white on the paper. So I would definitely like to take some time and review the comments and kind of review the document itself, and prior to going into a second or third reading. Unfortunately, that does mean that we will have another public hearing, but again, we want this document as polished and perfect as possible, so that we're not looking at this again next year as a bylaw amendment, because that's the last thing we want to do is get to a point where we thought it was great and perfect, and find out that we've actually missed something, or that it's not consistent or compliant with a neighboring authority, because that's, again, the last thing we want to deal with is having different neighbors from across the streets, having different values and different ability to develop their property, and then having it, well, why does he get to do it and I don't, kind of situation, because we do see that quite a bit. So not necessarily between North Cypress-Langford and Nipawin, but just between neighbors in general. So with that being said, does council have an opinion on taking the information that was provided and kind of digesting it and kind of reviewing it? And then basically what I'll do is I'll take it, I'll flag the items that were addressed, and we'll bring it back for further discussion.
Yep.
That seemed like an appropriate step going forward. Perfect.
If we can assist you, we went through this.
You betcha,
Jeff and
yeah.
I spent weeks and weeks and weeks when we created our bylaw, reading it several times. And then it got, so read it from a layperson who knows nothing about zoning.
You betcha.
So, and where would you go in the document if you were looking for something, and then starting, so it's not to point out, you know, there's errors or flaws. We just know what we lived and breathed
Oh, for
in
sure.
2017, 18, and it was very onerous, so.
And we started changing it like 3
Yeah.
months after
If we
we
can
found
help
those things.
you-
For sure it was,
Started
yeah.
applying,
I
right?
don't
They
want
show
to
up.
do that, guys.
The other point I would make, you know, Jeff is really good in our planning district. I know you've been very effective in this planning district. You know, should you not be here at some point, or you know, the administration staff in each office, the interpretation that exists in the document when the narratives and the tables conflict, you're going to lose that. Somebody's going to make an error. Somebody's going to approve something that doesn't need to be approved.
Yes.
So if we can make those clarities and put them in place, like I feel more comfortable, and I know you would as well.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, we deal with, the last thing we want to do is, again, knowing how Cypress Planning District is growing, we don't want to bring in additional staff members to have a situation where their interpretation and our current interpretation are different, because that would be a difficult thing to deal with, again, especially granting approvals or bringing something before council. That's the last thing we want to deal with, so. It's definitely something we'll sit down and digest and review, and then basically what I'll do is prior to scheduling that second public hearing, I'll send out a document for council review. And again, we'll work consistently with all parties and get something figured out. And then again, we'll present it back prior to an additional public hearing. So.
Good. Ernie, you got any more to add?
Well, I just want to maintain the continuity of working together with the region. We are a region, we're not isolated in anything, and, you know, all of you have sat on committees, and I've seen all of you before. I taught 4 of you. I have to put that in. But, you know, like, it's great that we can work together, and like Colleen just said, when we had hours to go through, it was, like, the cross-referencing was a nightmare, because you'd cross-reference to something, and that something had a new letter, new number, and whatever, so it just became schmoz. And so Colleen and Jeff just totally stripped it apart, put it back together, and did not receive a consulting fee for it. But anyway, I hope we can continue working together like this on every committee that we have. It's been great.
Great, thanks, Ernie. Joe, you got anything?
I'm good, thank you.
Jeff?
No, I'm good, right? The same thing, like I said, Rachel knows if
Yeah.
she wants a meeting or anybody, then yeah, I have no problem either, so.
We do appreciate you reviewing the document as
Yeah.
well.
That was not the intent.
No, it's good, at least somebody's reading
It's
it.
nice to have that outside input on it.
Yeah.
Ask my staff when they give me something, it doesn't look the same when I'm done.
Every time we've had someone new look at the document, they find something.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, a lot of people look at it from the, like who has been reading it, you're looking at it from the understanding of what it should be and how it should be, so you're not reading back to, you know, kindergarten or grade 1 level. I try to take it back there and read it from the perspective of, you know, I know nothing about this topic.
Yes.
And because even, for example, short-term rentals, that could be a worry for you, if somebody could make the case legally that it's an equivalency to bed and breakfast, and then
Yeah.
you're gonna be charged with trying to figure out how to deal with that.
With that being said, I say we, again, it's just me. I'm currently working on a short-term rental policy that would be implemented by all 3 members on how we govern them, how the fire department would like to govern them, especially with accessibility through frontages. Not necessarily an issue with North Cypress-Langford, but again, if we have something developed on the back end of a property, how are we getting the fire apparatus out to it? That's especially with the standalone secondary suites, that's a potential concern if they're using it as a short-term rental. So we will have a policy in place that, again, it's, at this point in time, it's like 35 pages long, and I don't want to bring that to your table just yet. So I'm trying to whittle it down into something more user-friendly, but that will be something that we will, or Cypress Planning would suggest for all 3 parties as well, prior to allowing a short-term rental to be established. So.
Anybody else around the table got any comments, concerns?
Can I just express my
the sheer irony of how many months we did all this animal to make it compatible to North Cypress. But now they're coming in and asking us to change it to match their old plan.
Something to work on there.
And the other thing, has anybody been watching the news about the issues in northern Ontario? There's about 3 airports where the Transport Canada has issued licenses for airports and totally told the municipalities there that they can do as they please. They have to follow there. It didn't matter what was written in there, what their plans or anything. The federal government just came in, gave the operators of the airport licenses and said the municipality has to match their, has to do as they say. And there's a big hullabaloo about that right now. I'm looking at this going, oh boy, we're going to be the same way. Because they basically told the municipality, we're the federal government, we can do what we please. You have to follow us, not the planning district has to respect the operate licenses, airport's licenses.
I think in the, our intent is not to say you must be doing this. Our intent is, we found some things that contradict themselves, and that would apply for anywhere in your whole municipality. And things that were specific to, say, aid in Neequa's future development, we're asking for consideration.
Yeah, to have 2 large municipalities bordering each other, you know, especially with one that is more urban based on our border, we definitely have to blend everything consistently. When it comes to authorities outside of our jurisdiction, like the federal government, regardless of what we put in play, if they change, and they do, we see this all the time, they change their regulations, and there is no real notification process, they just change them and we have to kind of meet what they say. So in that case, especially when it comes to airports and aerodomes, we have little authority on them, so we can you know try to catch as much as we can within the zoning bylaw, but if they decide to change, then we're at their mercy for sure. So
I think the real intent was just to have it as some type of a use in the zone.
for sure, it was
Because
definitely missed.
obviously it's regulated
Yeah.
federally.
Yeah.
If there was new or expanding, it was more just to ensure that it existed.
For sure, yeah. Yeah, no, it's the joy of working with provincial and federal groups is that when they decide to change, we just have to go along with it. So you know, it's something we'll try to catch again. The airport itself was definitely missed. It was there's a handful of uses that I could have sworn I put in there, and they just did not translate through. But again, we'll take some time. We'll digest the comments. We'll kind of adapt to what we or North Cypress feels comfortable with, and then we'll represent the document. So, yeah, if it's all right with North Cypress-Langford Council, Cypress Planning, we'll work with Municipality Area Planning to try to get things as consistent as possible prior to bringing it back to the table, and then we'll go from there. So,
Yep. That sounds good.
You welcome comments.
Thank you to the town of Neequa on that for
yeah, we appreciate it.
bringing these forward. It's good. Nice to have some other set eyes.
Yeah, I've read this document so many times, and I feel like it's.
No, we hear you. We've got a list already for.
That's the biggest.
We understand.
We
understand. Yep. A lot of times it's till an application comes in the door. Like,
Yeah.
Or you look at it, you're like, I thought we told Why is this here?
Oh, man.
That's why the English profs always said, write your essay, then read it a week later.
Yeah. As little bylaw amendments as possible, that's what we want.
Yeah.
I've got 2 for our development plan, and I'm crying on the inside.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everyone, for coming down.
Thank you.
Thanks for the comments. We'll be in
Careful
touch
on
with
that
you.
door.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I've given them a.
See you guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Marie.
I'll give you a shot next week sometime.
Sure, if you want, yeah, or whatever.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thanks, Jeff.
Poster.
Thank you.
Sure, if you can post
Yep.
that.
Thank you.
Thank
Yep.
you. Rachel.
I apologize, I'm actually camping this week, so I'm not in the office, so I'm a little in camper mode right now.
Okay, we close it now?
Yeah, unless there's any more comments.
Zoning bylaw hearing, resolution 194, 2023, be it resolved, the public hearing for the review of NCL zoning bylaw 7, 2022 be adjourned at
9:45.
9:45 a.m. at the regular meeting of council resumed. Can I have a mover, please? Malcolm, seconder?
Grant.
Grant? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Perfect, so I will aim to have all of the items that we kind of discussed and that, I have a few more in here that I flagged myself. So I will endeavor to have these all completed and ready to present at the September 11th meeting. Is that still the date for that meeting? Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
Everyone decided to change meeting dates on me and skewed everything, so.
yeah, the
we'll-
11th, that's right, yeah.
Perfect, so like I said, I will try to have these all updated and ready to go for then.
Perfect,
Alrighty, thank you.
thank you very much.
Other than the airport, now, I don't see a whole lot, but
No,
we need to worry too much about.
No.
It's
lot-
nice to have another set of eyes,
You betcha.
going just to make comments.
For sure, a lot of the animal unit stuff, it was specific to the buffers around Mi'kmaq moving out, were all set out by the province, so
Yeah.
I wanna really go back and make sure that their comment, like Mi'kmaq area and the town of Mi'kmaq's comments and the province comments are all consistent.
Yeah.
As much as I can appreciate their concerns with growth coming south, we really can't step out of what the province is saying for their buffers and setbacks. Well, we could, but
Yeah.
that would be the development plan again, going through again, and we dealt with that for 2 years prior to getting it adopted, so. Like I said, I'll kind of digest everything. This is the first time I've seen this letter. I hope that they would have a chance to get it out to me sooner, but, we'll get through it and we'll be back.
Yeah.
Wildlife wanted to put a barn up, they'd be jumping up and down and get one built.
Yeah, that's right, that's right.
Okay, thank you, Rachel.
No problem. Is there anything else for?
Anything else for Rachel?
No, just I'm working on this fence thing, I think I talked to you about that.
You betcha, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll have that probably next meeting, I'm
Yeah.
assuming.
Definitely,
But
yeah.
other than that, no, I don't have anything.
Perfect. It's, trying to think, yeah, swimming lessons this week, so.
Oh,
Let's see how drenched the kids are by the time I get back. Like I said, I'm out this week. I am available, when cell reception is consistent, but don't bank on hearing from me this week. You can always shoot me an email or have people shoot me an email and we can respond that way. But there wasn't anything too pressing this week, which is why we chose this week, other than this was big.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for coming in.
Definitely.
What are the high rates building north of the highway, a mile north of the highway? On Route 81, 15, 11, 14?
The only group that I've got that has any sort of major activity is Fairway? Is that right?
Fairway, yeah.
I always call them Mayfair, which I know is wrong.
Yeah.
That's the only colony that I have any activity. They're building 2 duplexes.
Okay.
We had a road crossing application, but it's through the province because they were attempting to cross Highway 1. There is a road crossing with items being laid in the municipal ditch.
Well, they
Or the provincial
laid a
ditch.
huge foundation up over there in the process of building something around north of the highway there.
I've got,
Just drive up
Yeah.
81 and just turn to the left, you're right there. Looks almost like a potato storage you're putting in or something by the concrete.
I did have a permit last year for coming in late for something. I want to say it's, could be potato storage or could be a large cold storage structure. I'm not sure. I'll look into it.
Yeah.
What was the location?
15, 11, 14, just drive up is it 81, where they cleared all the trees, and a mile north of the highway, take a left, and you're almost right on it.
Okay, I'm gonna say Twilight Colony's building too, but that's not in the same area. Yeah, I will take a look and verify that we have something on the books, and if not, I will make sure we have something on the books.
Quite a large building.
Yeah, again, especially with anything that is considered a large storage structure, currently it still falls to the OFC, so we see a development permit, but I don't always, I review them, but we don't issue a building permit on them, so it's entirely possible, especially at that size, that it's an OFC build. We are just finalizing some contracts with the Part 3 mentor. So we are looking to have the municipalities apply to the province to bring Part 3 jurisdiction into the area. So we're hoping to do that prior to the adoption of the new bylaw, which is January, or the new building codes, which is January 1st. So by then, we hopefully will be covering large permits here in North Cypress, which would be awesome for you guys. Keep everything in-house, and then we can look at reevaluating some fee schedules and that kind of stuff.
It's like being packaged.
Yeah, I need a bigger bag.
Yeah, bigger bag there, Rachel.
Duffel bag.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Enjoy your holidays.
Yeah, okay. Have fun.
Good morning.
Yep.
Hello.
Morning.
Hi, Grant. Sorry if I'm interrupting here. Alyssa from Manitoba Transportation and Infrastructure.
Yeah, okay. I think I have a chair. Sure. You're next, Rod.
Very well, where do I go?
You can go front and center.
We get all
We're
our
not
stuff out
putting
of
you on the hot
here.
seat or anything, right?
Would you love to see more?
Thank you, Rachel.
See you guys.
Thanks, Rachel. Okay, we'll go around the table first, Karen, introduce yourself, right? I'm Ray Grayson, Reed. Please meet you.
Darren Davidson, counselor.
Grant Jardine, Council of Newbury. Yeah.
Carl Bolton.
Malcolm Murray, Councillor.
And Trish Fraser, CEO.
Go ahead, Rod. Floor's yours.
Oh, I just got a letter.
Okay.
You guys fill me in.
I think what it came up, I'll just speak on behalf of council, just the gate that you have
Yeah.
on the road allowance.
Yeah.
I'm not sure the history on it, Rod, to be honest. I know that you were having some issues with ATV traffic going through there, right? So I do understand that the fire department has a code to get in if they need to.
Yeah.
But just due to the fact that the gate is, like, I mean, if somebody from the area isn't familiar, they come over the tracks and it's right there, right? And it is on public, like it's a public road allowance. So I'm not sure, you can maybe elaborate on this, like maybe past council has had a discussion with you on this and I'm not sure. But you can, I mean, the floor is yours, so you wanna give your side of the story, that now is the time.
Sure. Well, basically that access, I don't know if anybody's seen that
Yeah.
area and gone in on the municipal road allowance.
Yeah.
All the way on it.
Oh, wait, no.
Okay. You're probably talking about 15,000, or well, as it was quoted to me, to build the road allowance to allow access to take it off of my property. 'Cause we used, when we got the Crown lease 30 years ago, that was the direction the road went, and it was all pasture. And straight up to the road, it was all part of the pastures, as is our road allowances in amongst the rest of the lease. So all of our road allowances in there are part of the lease, or the pasture, the fences. We didn't go 99 feet and fence on either side of it, section to section to section, because we go 5 miles. So that's part of it, just my point about that. We've never had an issue. My issue right now is beyond comparative of the ATVers, because we had trouble over the years when we had all the cattle down there, when we had 400 head of cows down there. Every weekend, we could count on them being on the railroad tracks, because everybody would leave the gates open from High Crossing to Camp Hughes. My buddies in the railroad, Saturday morning, Sunday morning, put a train stop in for trains which are 20 minutes apart for 2 hours. So we get all the cattle back in. Constantly. We lost a few head of cattle on the tracks. We've had windmills stolen, generators stolen, cattle rustled, and calves shot. We found them in the pastures. And gates and fences and you name it. I tried everything to the point where I took my rifle out of my truck that I used for predator control, because I didn't know what I was gonna do, because we couldn't keep our cattle. We would find heifer pastures 4 pastures over at Carbon, or vice versa the other way. And calves, heifers, I remember the one group, you could put your hand on them. They were chased so hard, you couldn't get near them. So I guess my point with the Crown, but as it's turned out, as we found out with this ATV, Westman ATV group, which do not have a dime invested in this municipality, not a dime. We pay the lease, we pay the consequence. We can't even drive in there with our vehicles with a cattle trailer, because the length of this room is like this. They banked all the corners, drug leafy spurge from one end of that place to the other, up and down the hills, all over. I didn't catch them, but there was an ATV, or a Jeep club out of Brandon, or Manitoba, on the power line ripping and tearing through the swamp. And they come out there and use that as a racetrack. And then there's just the regular bikes. They're the, what do you call those things?
Motorcycle.
Motocross or whatever. I've caught guys, I've seen guys down there, they're doing 60K up and down those trails. How do you manage things down there? So it wasn't my concern about, I just wanted to block it off, stop the damage, get our property managed, because there's junk, garbage everywhere. And like I say, with Keith, and I know all these people grew up with them, and we've all managed this as best we could. And I'm not just the only one. We're talking Jeff Strains and all the rest of us in the community that have crown land and pasture just in general, just the abuse. And so we catch consistently or talk to consistently people from outside of this municipality in there all the time. They come in there as if it's their playground because Westman ATV group told them they could. And when I grew up, the forest reserve was sacrilegious. If we lost cattle in there, we went in on horseback or whatever, we walked to get our cattle out. They got 11 kilometers of trails from there now, folks. That's crazy. You can't believe it. We've lost 2 fences. The municipality's been in on 2 of our fences in fires created by them. The last one was about, what, 4 years ago now?
Yeah.
And prior to that was about 11. And there's 2 miles of fences that we haven't got rebuilt yet. And I support the fire department, the municipality, 100%. But the bulldozers took everything out. So we got a couple miles of fences to rebuild and redo and do a bunch of stuff. We did the perimeter. We're going to redo the perimeter. But anyways, I'm just saying that we have a lot of trouble trying to manage these outside interests that haven't got a dime invested and can care less. And so that's not the reason why I blocked it off. That was part of it. But if there's somebody complaining, please give me their name and number, because I would like to talk. And so based on where we've been before with our personal properties back there and the stuff that gets stolen and damages and just pure lack of respect. Like, I can remember seeing cattle in the pasture and then you hear something and here comes the quads over the hills and here's cattle running, scattered, as these guys do. But they're there. And they're not from here. That's the thing about it. I would love all my friends in the municipality to come and enjoy it like they used to, but they don't anymore because they're afraid of the other side. People coming over the hill and gonna get them in their quad, they're side by side and everything like that. What's that? It's too bad. We used to go down there, well, most of it was because of the cattle, but we weren't down there too often with our ATVs. It was either horseback or trucks and checking the cattle, and yeah, it wasn't too bad. You'd meet the odd person. Get a few friends phone up and say, hey, close the gate, didn't realize the cattle were in this section or whatever. And I said, no, we moved them over. Friends. Now, I have no idea who's there. No idea. Just got pictures of the south end of my property that I own at the high crossing where somebody come in and just took the sign, the big sign that we got there, no trespassing private property, and hurled it into the bush. So we know they're coming from the south.
Do you have any kind of like trail cam system set up? Like, do you have something?
No. I'm planning to do some of that, but
here is, why should I spend $400
Oh,
on crack?
completely, yeah.
And, you know, yeah.
Has it slowed down since you put the gate up there?
Oh, only, the fences only got cut once. And that's the other point with Keith, or talking about fire department access. We're talking 2 times in 12 years that they've accessed for fire.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, if there was other issues, because there's squatters out there getting hurt now, playing their game, is that my responsibility to worry about their being on our paid for crown lease, which is in the law, this is my lease with them, is that they have the opportunity to cross it, absolutely. They can be on the designated trails, absolutely, but not disrespectful, and they don't know. They have no idea what they're doing. They treat it now and they've turned it into their ATV runabout countryside. It's, by people that are outside of the municipality, haven't got a dime invested, not a dime.
Do we have any bylaw controlling ATVs?
We do not.
No, we don't. This was something we talked about years ago, because down east of Winnipeg, you know, Sandylands and those places, they have terrible problems too. And I've had a couple of example bylaws, I could bring them back and show you, to at least get some sort of control on
I
stuff.
believe Cornwallis does have, they just
Yeah,
did
sure
one
have.
as well. Yeah, I was looking at that, like last term, and then I kind of, well, just due to the fact that Weston ATV had their trail, the proposed trail, that kind of got away with that, and then we kind of come back to the bylaw. But I do agree there should be something in place for,
Like, it won't stop everything, but
No.
at least we have some
sort of,
backup.
yeah.
Hopefully they'll get the pest control on their own.
And unfortunately with the ATVs, you know, even if somebody calls in and reports them, there's not enough staff for RCMP
Yeah,
to
that's,
No,
look
they're,
after that.
I'm in communication with them, give them all the codes, forestry, Keith, the RCP, we communicate every once in a while about what's going on. Where I live, up the 464 and to where the farm and the shops are, that road is probably 20 to 30 ATVs a day on the road.
Yeah.
That's, you know, of course it's illegal, you're not supposed to be on there. I've chased those devils. And they're not from the municipality, they're from Oil and Cornwallis.
and wherever else, yeah.
So it's a problem.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you well know. So I'm hoping I'm not stepping on somebody's ATV dream of being able to go out there. That's not my intent. I want Carberrians, RM, people that are, you know, this is who we are and what we should. And I've got given the number out to a number of people that phone and ask, hey, I've always gone back there just for a ride, and there's the code. You know, and I probably should change it pretty soon.
Every now and then.
Got it, but I mean, at the end of the day, that was the intent, folks. It was, and then we looked at previous councils of the road allowance. It's going to cost, if you take it up to the end of my property, or to the road to the mile mark, it's a dead end. It's literally, well, not much less than straight down. It's great big hills in there, and there's no access. There's no road. That's not the road. That's not the Crown land lease access. And so I've had numbers quoted $15,000 to $20,000 to level that thing out enough so you can get travel in there. I'm not thinking that's the right idea, but but for me is we would just, if we had to pull it off of there, we're just going to go and fence and block it off anyways.
Yeah.
We would just continue on, and nobody's going to get through that hill. The fire department's not going to get through it. Not that I would stop the fire department, trust me.
No, you work well.
Far from it.
Yeah.
Far from it.
That's good.
That's good.
No, I think we just wanted to hear your side of the story, I think, Rod, and
I
appreciate the fact you came in and talked about it.
Yeah, appreciate that.
See where you're coming from, I know.
Yeah,
And,
appreciate that.
look at some of the messes what they've made out there,
Oh.
no doubt.
Yeah, it's sad, it's, after the BSC and we backed out of it, I was away for a while, and then we're still got cattle, and we're still putting cattle in there, and it's just redeveloping it, and got a lot of fences put back in place, and work with Crown, and
I think our biggest concern maybe is if it was set back farther from the railroad track, if somebody did come over, it's fairly sudden, you'd have to stop maybe?
When we had it, before I put the lock gate there, was actual gates like that there, had always been there. We've always had barbed wire, heavy gates.
At that location?
At that location,
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
And then we had, and that's, that was old, the fellow that had it before Georgie Hook. That was his fence lines
Okay,
in there. And then the original, I'm gonna say the property, the 180, 120 acres, there was fences, but they didn't follow the property lines. They just found the easiest way to get through the
Yeah.
tree lines. So we find tree line, or fence lines, there's 2 sets of tree lines going south through the trees there. It's quite a mess, old barbed wire wrapped up in there.
So that gate's been there forever.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know.
okay,
That means-
that's what they know, sir.
And I sadly can't bring you pictures because when we lost our house in our fire, we had a ton of that stuff. We had lots of aerials and lots of things that we did, just historical stuff from down there, building fences or just family, yet, we had that, I don't have it.
Okay, that's
I'll just make a point on the file and just for future, just in case this comes up
something we
again.
know about,
'cause-
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of us understood exactly what the talk was
Yeah.
all about and that.
Yeah. Honestly, I go and check the gate every once in a while after the fences were cut beside it. And then, you can see the odd time tracks come up from the south, which have come in and migrated in from wherever else. But then I just basically go in and turn around and away they go. And I know there is lots of Facebook and whatever people complaining about this, but they weren't from here. They were definitely not from here. And so sadly, it's became that scenario. So we are planning a lot of things on my property hopefully this fall, but where time's going.
Yeah, coming by quick.
Yeah, and where do the people go? I'm short 2 people.
Yeah.
So two mechanics or a mechanic and heavy equipment operator.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Can't find people.
Can't find staff.
Just
Anyway, thanks for coming in. Anybody got any
Just gonna
questions?
go look at the gate on the way home after municipality. You wouldn't mind giving your cell number?
Oh, sure, 730, 3545.
I'm just gonna take a look on the way home.
That's open to anybody, you'll get a call anytime, wide open to help out the municipality here.
I'll just send you a text and you can put my number in.
Yeah, yeah.
Rob's your actual counselor, but we're
Yeah.
counselors at large.
Yeah, yeah.
So you're not any problems and, not that far away, but
No, fair enough, you don't, absolutely, no, you guys are, well, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work, keep up the good work.
Thanks, Rod.
Thank you.
Thanks
Have
for
a great
coming
day.
in. Have a good week. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're a little behind, so.
Yeah, a little bit behind. I'm sorry, people.
My only comment is I wish like you look south of the border, Wyoming, Colorado, Montana, Utah, fence tampering is a criminal offense by the state. Why do we have things like that up here?
You guys can come on out a little
Come
bit.
on up to the table here.
You might have to bring a chair, I don't
We
know.
got enough chairs here.
You guys got, can I
Slide
plug
it
in
up.
and use your,
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
sure.
Do you, I have, this is what I've been using, but
yep, perfect.
I don't know if it can reach you or not, but
Just sneak it to the side if I need, I guess.
I don't know if it'll reach you. We have to. No, it's okay. Yep. There, is that long enough or?
I think so.
No, I think you're okay.
You're okay, Earl.
As long as it's got the right, you got the right, There we go.
We'll go around the table before we start here and know who we're all talking about or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm Ray Grayson, the Reeve.
Jared Davidson.
Grand Tribune Counselor.
Oh, sorry. I'm Jenna Gordon. I'm the highway design engineer from MTI for the Western region based out of Brandon.
I'm Dustin Boy, I'm the Executive Director of Highway Engineering Services for the Manitoba Transportation.
Good morning, my name is Alyssa Macion. I'm a stakeholder liaison officer for Manitoba Transportation Infrastructure, working out of our Portage la Prairie office for our transportation operations, highway operations section.
Earl Polton, Counselor.
Dawson's the deputy. Trish Fraser, CAO. And Malcolm.
The other guy is Malcolm Murray. But he gets back. Go ahead.
Awesome, thanks for allowing us to come out and share some information with you. It's been, I think our contacts with the local community has been a little bit sporadic, and I think there's a desire there to make sure that we're communicating, that you guys understand what the department's plans are, where we're at, and where we're heading. So I wrote up a little presentation here on the weekend so I can share some update information with you. I've got a couple of design drawings as well that I'll leave with you, so you've got at least something on file so you know what's happening. We'll be giving this same presentation to, I think, the town council right after this meeting just down the road. So, 1 in 5 intersection safety strategy update. So going back to the June 15th collision, took us about a week or so. We were able to put together an intersection safety strategy that was focused directly on PTH 1 and 5. And also had some broader network goals to help us prioritize and conduct safety reviews at other intersections across Manitoba's network. The safety strategy team was largely assembled within the first 3 weeks. It includes some external experts from both Manitoba and Vancouver. They're nationally recognized road safety professionals, and our work on the strategy began almost immediately. So this is our team here. These are 2 road safety experts. Craig Milligan, he's a local Manitoba fellow. He used to work for the Highways Department. He now works at a private engineering consulting firm. Raheem Dilgir is a private road safety professional consultant as well. Provides expertise to municipalities across Canada, expert witness testimony, all that kind of great stuff. Nationally recognized, internationally recognized road safety professionals. Raheem is actually the past president of the Canadian Association for Road Safety Professionals as well, so we're very happy to have them as part of the team. They've got a good set of eyes to help us figure out what we need to do at this intersection to try to improve safety. We also have internal experts for traffic operations, so out of our traffic engineering branch, as well as road geometry out of highway design. And we have construction expertise and project management expertise with Jenna here on the team. And Alyssa's here as well, so that she can be a contact person going forward and understanding the issues on this file. So the strategy document, the Premier had mentioned in some press conferences that we had assembled a team, that we did have a plan in place to go forward. I'll talk a little bit about the strategy goals as a whole. It kind of dovetails with a broader road safety strategy for all of Manitoba, but I want to basically focus primarily on 1 and 5. So I'll talk a little bit about the network intersection safety strategy goals a bit, but mostly we'll just go through what the plan is for 1 and 5. Because I think that's what you're most interested in anyway. So 1 and 5 has two primary goals in front of us right now. The first was a review and update of the intersection just to make sure that what is out there right now meets MTI's standards. And you probably will have seen at least a little bit of work in the last little while. We've done some, reinstalled the rumble strips, we've refreshed all the paint lines, we've added paint to the median section. We're also going to go through and replace a number of signs that are worn and tired and introduce some new signage into the area. So I'll get to that in a little bit. We also have the in-service road safety review. So an in-service road safety review is kind of a detailed look at the intersection to figure out how traffic is interacting with the facility and identify all the safety issues that we can so that we can address them in one shot during a later construction project. As part of the strategy, we also have some broader network intersection safety strategy goals. So we've got a partnership with the University of Manitoba, Manitoba Public Insurance to update all of our traffic volume data and all of our collision data. That collision data, we perform statistical analysis on it across the whole network, and that'll give us an idea of kind of where our collision hotspots are, so we know how to prioritize our resources and which ones to pick away at first. That's actually the fourth item in that list, the network screening and prioritization of safety review resources. So we can go in and we can do a very similar thing on other intersections that may have greater need than the Highway 1 and Highway 5 intersection, where we're already doing this with a company called WSP. We're also gonna update our fatal collision review process. So we have a process in place where every time there's a fatal collision on the network, the RCMP notifies us and we go through and do just an assessment of the area to make sure that there are no like real eye pokers that we can address immediately. And if there are longer term issues that we want to tackle, like a curve potentially being too sharp or an access location maybe that's contributed to a fatal collision, we can address that as part of a future capital construction project. It doesn't usually get addressed right away, but it'll get caught in the future. We also have systemic response plans that we're interested in developing. This is a new item for us. It's new-ish in the road safety profession. Basically, a systemic response plan is a very systems-based approach at improving safety. The idea is to take intersections that have very similar characteristics, like a 4-lane to a 2-lane intersection, similar speed, similar collision history, and apply the same safety treatments and safety features to all the intersections that have those same sets of characteristics. So that way we don't deal with it on a one-off basis. We're dealing with all the intersections and finding out where the gaps are from what our safety standards should be and what we need to do to bring it up to the safety standard. So I'll go through the 2 goals that we had for 1 and 5. I think I'm going to just preface this by saying I know that there's like a sense of urgency amongst the local community, and it's not just the local community. We've received letters from across Canada about this intersection, and it's created quite a focus on the intersection and a desire to see something move ahead really quickly. Normally, when we get a fatality on the roadway, MTI will not go in and make immediate improvements, and there's 2 very good reasons for that. The first is, if we're going to go in and we're going to build something, we want to make sure that we understand what all the safety concerns are so that we can address them all in one shot. We're not going to go in and address just the one issue for one particular accident. So we'll undertake something called the in-service road safety review to identify all those safety issues. The other reason is that if we don't take some time to look at the intersection, we don't know what all the issues are, and if we make a change, we could actually make something that we don't know is a problem even worse. So that's why we have to sort of take the time to go through the process, but it is a bit of a process, so it takes a while. In the meantime, there's lots that we can do. So we went through and we've reviewed the whole intersection. We're in the process of updating everything to our current standards. So like I said, rumble strips, the paint lines being refreshed. Many of the old and tired signs are going to be replaced. And we're going to install important intersection signs on each approaching leg with a flashing amber light just to draw some attention to the intersection and heighten driver awareness. Everyone that's coming into this intersection knows that they need to pay attention. We're also going to be updating some of the other signs or installing new signs like the reinforcing the speed limit. I think our initial preliminary investigation of the site, we did some speed data collection already just to see what compliance is like with speeds. And on number 5, it's actually quite good. You can see vehicles coming in at the appropriate speed, and as soon as they hit those rumble strips, they're slowing right down. It knocks their speed down by 30-40% right away. On highway number 1, our speed compliance isn't quite as good. It appears that some of the traffic is traveling through at about 110 kilometers an hour or so, something like that. And that speed limit is 100 kilometers an hour. So the majority of traffic is actually exceeding the speed limit there. So the idea is to reinforce the speed limit by installing some new signs, particularly on the eastbound lanes. So I've got a couple of, you want to open up those drawings for us there, Melissa?
Yes.
You guys can have 2 copies of this. That'll leave with you, one for your file, one for sharing, I guess. But basically that shows the intersection sign plan. It identifies all the signs that are at the intersection and it'll show which ones we want to improve and which ones are going to be installed.
Are they going to be moved further away from the intersection? Because I noticed this morning when you pull out and you look to the west and the sun's coming up in the east.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reflection coming off the back of those signs, and they're stacked like right up. And it's hard to pick out the traffic sometimes in between the reflections, you know.
Right.
It seems very cluttered when you're looking at it, so I think like sight lines are
Very important.
Yeah, no, we'll take that away. It's probably something that's been noted by WSP. It's one of those things that, you know, you can move it for one particular time of the year, but it might not apply for all times of the year, so we can try to do our best to address that. If you know exactly where the issue is, we can take a closer look at it.
And every vehicle's a different height.
Every vehicle's a different height, everybody's got a different view. The sun changes location in the sky. It's pretty tough for us to address that in all cases, but we'll try our best for sure.
Yeah.
So I'll leave those with you. They're pretty detailed, so you might want to spend a little bit of time with them. I just wanted to share them because we have them available and it'll help you kind of understand how much we have going on. Yes?
I travel this road every day.
Yeah.
And basically, I didn't know this, we were at that last meeting, the merge intersection, lane going towards Brand.
Yeah.
I didn't even know there was that sign, I never visualized it. All the years, I've been on that road like 5 times.
Yeah.
So you can, and what I see is white knucklers. They'll freeze, they're looking left and right, they don't even know there's a merge lane. Then you get the B trains backed up, and you get lots of backup because of a nervous driver.
Yeah.
So if you could put that, like I couldn't believe it. It's there, but it's just a tiny little, non-really,
Okay.
because that's the half the problem is backup. Like when you get back up, then you get aggressive drivers there. And so that light was, I'm looking, so it's right here, right? That sign, and Ray even admit it's there, but I didn't see it. And I must have.
And it's for left turning traffic?
We're heading, so, yeah, it's a merge lane, an acceleration lane.
Yeah.
And there's a little sign like this, tells the public, people in the area, to get going. You can go. You just gotta pass this one medium, and then you can, you know, go away.
Well, we can take a look at that too and see if we can make it a little bit more visible as well.
And I couldn't believe it. I said, no, there's not one there. There was.
It's not unusual. I will mention even some of these signs, like the important intersection sign, signs like that, they will help in the immediate future. But as the local public kind of gets used to it, the locals especially, they see it every day, it has less and less
You get
impact.
a number to the number of signs out there. You don't acknowledge every single sign.
You can't.
It's like they say,
Yeah.
13 signs over the Kemney Bridge.
Yeah.
14th one's gonna make the difference, right? Like, it's just too many signs.
We know that phenomenon exists because we have it with speed reader boards. So those are the ones that measure your speed and will flash your speed at you as you're going fast. We actually collect the data on there just to see how effective the thing is. And you can see it immediately. As soon as you put it up, you got great speed compliance across the board. After 6 months, it might as well not even exist.
Yeah.
So we take those and we actually move them around the network just to kind of keep the public sort of on their toes, and then we'll put it back in the same spot that it was, and we'll get good compliance again. But without the cops being there to keep an eye on things, it's pretty tough for us to really, enforce compliance.
Well, that's what you're saying, like it's 100, but they're all doing 110 anyway, but we haven't got the RCMP to police it in the first place,
Yeah,
unfortunately, and
yeah, it's a bit tougher. There's
people just drive.
We still going, you're reducing that to 80.
We are not doing any sort of changes until we're finished the in-service road safety review.
Okay.
Yeah, we would be reducing it to 80 unless we were considering something like signalization there.
Okay, I'm looking now this to the west, like it's quite a ways, like that's from 100 kilometers up to 110, like you're kind of like grinding coffee for the Indians for about 3 minutes. I don't understand why it's so long, like.
The 100 zone?
Yeah, the 100.
Going to the east, or eastbound.
Going to the west.
Westbound.
You could grind coffee,
I see.
like you're still going so slow.
Yeah, so that's
Because of the rail line to the west.
I was gonna say there's really.
That's exactly the reason why. So the rail lines, we have to have overhead advanced warning signs there.
Yeah.
And we slow the traffic down to 100 in the vicinity. This whole stretch is already basically I think it's already set to be to have a speed limit of 110. but we just carried the 100 km/h speed limit from the tracks all the way through the intersection just to keep the speeds low. And it's been that way for, I think, since we established 110 km/h.
Yeah.
So it's been years that way, so. But yeah, we definitely get it. It's kind of tough in the westbound direction because you'd have pretty rapid speed changes going west. You'd get up to speed to 110 and then it would immediately slow down to the tracks and then back up to 110 again. So we've kept it at 100 all the way through.
I guess
People
like these
still gonna do
highways.
110, 50% of the traffic, I've noticed over the years, be at least over 50% to 110.
Yeah.
Yes. I put a little sign in municipality for 30 kilometers, I
Yeah.
got people who go 50.
Yeah.
You know, like, and that's why, that's just my article, if you put it 80, they'll do 9. Go through there,
Yeah.
but anyway, that's just,
So sometimes we've found this as well. Like you say, when you're driving at 100, it feels like a crawl, like you're grinding coffee. And the reason for that is that, like, the way the road looks and feels when you drive it, it feels like you can drive it a lot faster. So you have a really hard time getting people to comply, even if we post it for 70 or 80.
yeah, I just like,
Let it go like so.
but if we can get them to go to 90 here, you know, it's, you know, like, I'm not saying, well, here's a half mile right here, here's a half mile.
Yeah.
If you could get them, you know, to go 80, you know, right here,
Yeah.
at least they'll do 9. You know what I'm trying to say? If you're doing 110, like 100 here, they're gonna do 110.
Yeah.
And you haven't changed nothing, because no one's gonna, after a couple of months. So you have to, this is just my recommendation, you have to put this down to 80, and they'll do 90 through here.
Yeah. No, it's definitely, speed review is definitely on our radar. It's a part of the in-service road safety review. We're gonna look at it. But it'll be balanced based on whether or not we can even achieve compliance there.
Just a couple of weeks ago, there was another accident on that intersection, you guys are aware of.
Well aware, yeah.
You know, so you're doing all these studies and all that, and the money we're spending, and nothing, you know, the time is for action now.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to preface the whole presentation that we will not run in and make a bunch of changes right away without first understanding everything that we're gonna affect. So we do need to, it does take time, it is a bit of a process, and we definitely understand the urgency. We are dialed right in on making improvements to this intersection. We just need to go through the engineering process first to make sure we're catching everything that's there.
Is like one of those considerations, long-term overpass?
It could very well be. I might as well just carry on with my
sorry.
presentation.
Yeah.
And
Carry on.
please, get to that? Yeah.
Sorry.
So the in-service road safety review, it's basically a complete detailed safety assessment of all the issues at the intersection. And I gotta point out, it's not a design process. It's just a fact-finding mission. What are the problems out there right now? And what are the countermeasures we can implement to make sure that the intersection gets safer? So it usually leads to some interim improvements that'll be beyond what we've got right here. So they may recommend, you know, we've got to extend this acceleration lane or add this oversized signage in this location, that kind of stuff. But it'll also make recommendations for how the intersection should be configured. Should it be signalized? Should it be a roundabout? Do we have to add any other lanes? Does it need to be an overpass? That kind of thing. All of those options conflict with each other. You can't build a roundabout and signalize the thing at the same time. You gotta pick one or the other. That's where the functional design process comes in. So after we've got a range of options that we know will work at that location, you still need to go through the process of evaluating and picking the best one, something that addresses the majority or all of the safety issues if you can. So that does take a little bit of time, but without doing that review, we're not gonna just, you know, like I said, rush in and do something without understanding all the ramifications there first, so we did hire WSP in, I think it was late June or early July. We had them on board pretty quick.
Yeah, early July, yeah.
Early July. So you might have already seen them out there. They did a preliminary investigation. They will set up cameras at the intersection, and that's actually to do what's called a video conflict analysis. So they'll capture video of all of the driver movements through the intersection over a period of time. And they have software that can analyze the video and tell you where your major conflicts are. So a conflict is wherever a vehicle is crossing another vehicle's path, or where you're merging or diverging from the road. That's a conflict point. It's a point where a driver needs to make a decision about how they interact with the stream of traffic and the road. So the software will identify all those conflict points and tell you where the big problem areas are, and those are the things that we need to address as part of the future layout for the intersection. So they've completed that site investigation. We got a preliminary site report that we're reviewing right now and commenting on. The safety analysis is ongoing. The safety analysis will include the conflict, the geometry review, the collision data. We'll go through all the collision data to get clues there about what might be a problem. The bottom line is that we can expect a draft report in late September, and we expect the in-service road safety review to wind up in October. We'll have our interim solutions ready to go right away, and we'll have a number of options probably for how the intersection should be reconfigured, and we'll start the functional design immediately after that. So I can talk a little bit about the process, but I think I've kind of given you guys already a good flavor of what it's about. The bottom line is that at the end of October, we're gonna draft a strategy while the final report is getting prepared, just to identify what are we tackling right now and what do we need to carry forward to future design and get the design complete so we can start construction here as soon as possible for whatever is required. Anything else here that's helpful? I will actually point out that the functional design includes complete stakeholder and public consultation. So the communities in the area and stakeholders in the area will all be involved in being able to provide feedback. So like the observations that you guys have shared with us here, we can take that all back and that becomes a consideration in our design process. I don't think I have anything.
Can I ask a question about like when the last traffic count was, like the date? Like how often?
I don't know actually.
Just, and I'm not, I mean, it varies from time to like the year, right? So this coming, like it's harvest, right? So it'll change for that intersection. It's very busy this time of year.
No, we're definitely well aware.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure when, if you had a date on when you did the last count.
They probably will have come out of the last video conflict analysis. So I mean, the timing is not great to catch the harvest season, but like we're definitely aware of the seasonal changes on the road. So you see it for sure, like on recreational routes, like going up to cottage country and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Way higher in the summertime than it is in the low season. So we have adjustment factors that we would apply to capture seasonal changes like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
What if you projected down the road, say 20 years from now? 20 years ago, there was what, 70% of the traffic of what there is now? 20 years down the road, what are we looking at? Another 30% increase in traffic, or just some pie in the sky? I don't know.
Yeah, like normally on like our busy highway, so number one, we might see like 2% yearly increase. Obviously that can fluctuate, so I guess in 20 years it could be another 30% on number one. Number 5, obviously there's trends, harvest and everything. I think it's around more 1%, if I remember correctly, kind of in the Carberry area.
Look at the population of Nipawin now.
It's kind of, it's very much, it's very much affected by very localized changes. So Nipawin's got the highlight plant there, they're booming. I think their town is growing like 25% a year or something like that.
So level now that the province thought it should be in 2056, like it's growing that quick.
It's fast.
Nipawin's gonna be 15,000-20,000 people in 20 years.
At that rate, yeah, probably. I think I feel like it's 6 or something like that.
It is
5 or 6 now,
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah, so they're growing pretty fast.
Well, in your highway here too, when this was designed, was built, what, 60, 70 years ago designed here for that twinning? 50
70
years ago anyway.
72 or something
You know,
like that.
our
77.
semis now, back then we had a tandem truck and a one trailer semi, now you've got, some of them are three
Yeah.
semis, or three trailers behind you.
And that's one of my main.
We don't have the
concerns.
room on the intersection anymore, but.
Yeah,
Well, the median, there's no room for a Super B to meet a Super B. It's impossible.
yeah.
Yeah, you're aware of all that.
You know all that.
Yeah.
A large truck traffic is an increase.
Like I see the same thing, I mean, I grew up in Glenboro, actually, with myself. We feel the same, what's that?
You saw it all.
Yeah, I've traveled this intersection a lot, I used to hang out here a lot in high school. And we get the same sort of feel on Highway number 2, like when you grow up in that area, like you really do see the change over 20 years. Like it's only 1 or 2% a year, but it does add up for sure. Yeah, sorry.
Most of my dealing with this intersection has been with businesses wanting to open right up in the corner. And they were always shot down by the highways department, and the excuse we always got was, well, the land has been reserved. This area is under a strategic plan to have an overpass and clover leaves put in.
Yes.
What happened to that plan?
That is actually a very long-term plan, and that is the same at every major intersection in Manitoba. So by legislation, we have what's called a controlled area along the highway, which there's an influence area just outside of the right-of-way that we protect against development, so we know that we can control where the access points are and stuff like that. Same thing at major intersection locations. There's what's called a control circle. And there's 3 different sizes of them. I think this is a pretty large control circle, this one. But we would preclude any development in that area if we had a functional design plan done. We would allow development to occur in the areas that wouldn't be impacted by the interchange. Reason being is that we don't want people building something there only for us to have to come back later and buy that land or that business at a very high price. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense for the taxpayers to do that. But there's still ways for people to develop and protect for the interchange, and that's what we try to do.
Well, we had to have intervention from our MLA to get the gas station put out there.
Which one's that?
At the Robin's Nest.
Oh, okay.
And they have the plan, but did they have a date when they were looking at doing it?
No, it would be based on changes in traffic and the operations of the intersection. It's not likely, I would say, that this would be a candidate location. We've got a lot of other intersections that would need an interchange as a priority in Manitoba. And these things cost, somewhere between $80 and $120 million. So it's a lot of money to spend on an intersection. If there's some kind of solution that'll work and deal with the issues, we'd probably want to pursue something like that. But the functional design will bear that out for sure.
Grant?
Okay, ADM is a canola processing plant. Now we got farmers of beef trays, won't cross that intersection, won't haul to that plant.
Yeah.
Okay, I never mentioned that before, that there is business, this isn't to do with that, so there is now, because of this plant, because of the intersection, because of the trucks will not cross that Trans-Canada, so they're not doing business with ADM. Second thing, I have lots of American friends. They will not go up Highway 5 and come into Manitoba.
Okay.
They just think that's a disgrace, that highway. So basically, we're losing on tourism in this area. Number 2, and that intersection cannot meet NTI standards. If it does, we'd be a laughing stock of the world. So,
The 1 in 5 intersection?
yes, this one out here. So you can do all the studies. It's critical something gets done fast. We're losing lots of economic, not only safety, economic opportunities because of that intersection and the Highway 5.
I can assure you we are moving as quickly as humanly possible on this. MTI wants to see an improvement here as well. We're dialed right in on it. It's just, it is a process. It does take some time.
I have cattle friends who go to Blaze Green and come up and get to Pine Place before they ever travel Highway 5.
Highway 5 is, like, you're talking a piece between two and number 1 here?
Yeah.
All the way to the border,
Yeah.
Cartwright.
Yeah. So I think that roadway was identified as part of the government's trade and commerce initiative. So there's, I think I just reviewed the drawings for the segment south of number 2. That's supposed to be we're upgrading it to RTAC loading, I think. From 2 to number 1 is definitely gonna be RTAC loading, so that's the heaviest weight bearing you can have. Our infrastructure investment strategy is online. I can show you where it is if you want, but it's there, and you can see in the program, this road, I think, is scheduled for construction next season. I think that's right.
Yeah.
So all of number 5 from number 2 to number 1 is gonna be rebuilt, and it'll be rebuilt to a tax standard, because it's been tired for quite a few years.
Yeah.
How about to the border?
I don't know. I've only really kind of like looked at the projects in this area. I know the RM, you have a lot of projects going on in this area, a lot of roadway work. But all of the government's commitments for roadway work are in the investment strategy online. If you want to see any roadway in your area,
Yeah,
It's all there for you. Yep.
it's all there, yeah.
Number 2 is all nice
Number 2, well, there's the Elm Creek piece that we tendered this year, but the contractor is tied up doing work in western Manitoba. We were hoping to have some work started there, but it's not going yet. But that'll be touched up by next year. And that's a pretty long section too, so.
Anyway, we got any more to
I think the
update on
biggest
one and 5
thing from
here is
council
our
was,
biggest thing?
yeah, it's just that intersection deserves a safe, for our community to be safe, right? So when you're looking into it, and that's all we can do right
I
now, and
understand you're doing all you can do right now.
Yeah, like we're already recognizing a number of it, like the median width for sure, we are well aware of the median width there and the yield signs in the center of the road. That's definitely gonna be a recommendation in the safety review for sure, amongst a number of other things. But we just wanted you to know that we're here, we're listening. Whenever you need information, you can reach out to me directly, and I will give you whatever you need to satisfy your
I
questions.
personally want to thank you for coming today.
Yeah.
And 3 of you to show up at our table is very much appreciated,
For sure.
to show that you're committed to this.
No, you're on the hot
We
seat,
appreciate
but, you know, it's,
We appreciate
when the
it.
meeting's over, that's it, but, you know,
Yeah, no, we'll be reaching out regularly because the next step is in a couple of months, this road safety review is gonna be done. We'll arrange a meeting with you to come and present the findings, and we'll talk about what the next steps are after that. Because our team is gonna have an implementation strategy put together, so we'll see progress. It may feel like it's creeping a bit, because it kind of, like engineering kind of does on roadway jobs, but you'll still see like movement forward, so you can share.
So one quick silly question. When you're doing vehicle counts, do you use visual to identify whether it's a car, truck, or semi? Or is it all still the rumble bumps? Like those little things you bump over with the car?
No, we can do it a couple of different ways. So like so sometimes we'll put the pneumatic tubes out and they'll capture traffic. More often we've got permanent counting stations throughout the network, so we've actually like carved in like a magnetic sensor right in the surface of the road, and you'll see a little device in the ditch there that's collecting traffic data and transmitting it to us downtown. For this intersection, I think they would use the video conflict.
Yeah, they set up cameras, yeah.
Those cameras.
Okay, there's cameras that
Yeah.
are doing a count. Okay,
Yeah.
no, that was just one of my concerns, because with all the farm traffic,
Yeah.
when it kind of looks at some of the car.
Yeah, so the video conflict analysis that they did, it'll identify not only conflicts, but it's also capable of counting the traffic for us too.
Okay.
So we'll know what's moving through.
Well, thank you.
Very good.
you know, that this is not gonna get any cheaper, right?
You know,
You're saying 20, 50 million, what's it gonna cost 10 years from now?
everything across the board has jumped in price on us. There's an extreme labor shortage right now, especially in the contracting industry. The contracting community they must have a heck of a time trying to find staff right now.
If I was done on that, I'm just doing rough math. And you'd help me go out, everybody, go that red instead of 10 into the parts, not, I don't think that. I think you'd get it back eventually, taxes and federally, first year.
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of different ways that we could approach it, like if possible, the federal government has a program now or will have a program in the future that we can leverage cash for to build something like an interchange, but obviously I can't make any promises because
I know you can't, but Highway 83 goes from Brownsville, Texas, all the way to Swan River. And there's lots of people that take that highway, but they want to go visit their friends, their American friends on their way here. And I've had lots of American friends tell me they had to either they'll go around, they won't come up 5 because it's known. With that highway, you'll lose your teeth, they go down that highway. So I just wanted to tell you that.
Controls the speeding.
Yeah, well, you don't see the cost.
It's not the ideal.
That's true.
Anyway, I think we can
Yeah.
say thank you very much
Yeah.
for coming out today. It's much appreciated to come and give us a heads up on it.
Yeah, thank you. Like I said,
Keep us in the loop, and
I can leave you the presentation too. Do you guys want to, if you need to have any questions answered, like just give me a call.
Yeah, if you could share the presentation, we do have a counselor that's absent today, so that would be
Okay.
fantastic.
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, that'd be good.
Okay.
Is it allowed to show the public this if they ask?
Yeah, okay, yeah, I don't see why not.
Just so,
Yep.
someone comes to the office.
That's your email, Dustin.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Good, thank you very much for coming out. That's
Good to meet you.
appreciated. Bylaw 6/2023 irrigation equipment.
Last meeting I had the irrigation equipment bylaw on, but I did send out, did you guys look at it? Okay, so you did look at it? Okay, do you have any feedback? No?
It was a while ago I looked at it, and sent it out.
How about, it's just more to bring it up again. I did do a few changes to it, like, there's not a lot of irrigation equipment bylaws out there. Glenboro and I have actually been working together because they have a lot of irrigation issues as well, so they're updating their bylaw. I've got Rachel as well on it just because of, the planning perspective sort of thing. So I have done a few changes to it, so maybe I'll just table it. This is why it's on here, is I'm just gonna table it, I am still working on it. I've started a spreadsheet, with calls that I get in.
Second kind of warning.
Yeah, so I do have, a couple of repeat offenders, who have received written, warning, just that way. But I know that, they usually get a call when it first happens and then they go fix it. But like I said, there's been a couple that have been repetitive. Some are very, very sorry about it, others are, it's almost like okay, right?
Yeah.
So, I do have a spreadsheet started and Matt has been pretty good at letting me know as well, so we're in touch, but I'll circulate it again after this meeting, just with some changes I've made, and then hopefully by next meeting we can have some sort of I didn't know if you wanted, I think in there it indicates that if there is damage to the road, the owners or whoever is responsible for it, they will be paying for the damages, which is fine. However, maybe it should just be a fine, maybe it should just be like a set,
$5,000 fine.
which council can set that, that's fine.
Well,
So that's something that Weber and I are working on together as well, just about how much and
Yeah.
like, cause I mean, if they, depending on the damage, right, if they have that irrigation running on that road for a day and we don't notice it, well, right?
Could be talking a couple hours of draining and a load of gravel.
That's right, yeah, so we
But
could
then
charge
the
them for,
inconvenience of it being messed
Yeah.
up all the time too,
so if that's okay with everybody, I wanna recirculate it again.
Yeah.
Next
The
meeting.
only one concern I had was if there's a 40 miles per hour wind, it takes the water.
Yes.
That's the only thing.
And I understand that, the beginning of the season, they get the irrigation out, they're trying to set them, I get that, and we do give them that grace period, which is fine. It's when we're now in August and we've had to
We're
call them a
still
few
getting-
times and and I understand they're all operated by technology, right? So sometimes technology does not work in our favor, right? So I've got that, but again, most are very respectful when it comes to the irrigation, but, you know, it's,
You only
Want the
take
water,
one
they should want
fine,
that water on their crop.
that's right,
Yeah,
yeah.
not in our
you
ditch.
only take one fine and they'll all comply.
That's right, exactly, and I don't wanna have to do that, right?
Make the
So-
fine big enough.
Yeah, so that's why that is on there, just so you guys
Take that
kinda,
much water off there.
Yeah.
Well, you don't need that.
Okay,
Okay.
table that one then, Trish?
yes, if
Yeah.
that's okay, I just
Alright.
wanted to let you all know I'm still kinda working on it.
Bylaw 7/2023 designated officer positions, resolution 195/2023, be it resolved that bylaw number 7/2023 to establish designated officer positions hereby be read a first time, be referred to council. Could we have a mover, please?
Sure.
Seconder?
So, I'm sure you can all tell I've been going through some bylaws and updating them. This is just, there's a bylaw from the old North Cypress and the old Langford that I've combined and updated for just our designated positions, so that would be my position, Teresa's Assistant Chief Administrative Officer, Public Works Supervisor, Bylaw Enforcement Officer, Building Inspector, Development Officer, Fire Chief, and Deputy Chief. So those are all our designated positions, so updated those, and it's not, it's just so that we're all aware of those positions, right?
Mhm.
Yes, so,
Any other questions? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Bylaw number 8/2023, resolution 196/2023. Be it resolved that bylaw number 8/2023 to govern the organization of the municipality of North Cypress-Langford and the committees thereof hereby be read a first time, be referred to council. Can I have a mover, please?
Davidson.
Seconder?
Malcolm.
Any comments on that, Trish?
I made a few changes, I circulated this as well. So this is just basically indicating, you know, your general duties as council, and also just the committees that are specified under your, what you're designated to, so it's got all those in there. And yeah, what the head council is responsible for, the first regular meetings of each year, it's got basically what you are regulated by, so. Nothing surprising, just updating, because again, the North Cypress bylaw was old, Langford was old, now we're one. It's been a while, sorry, but.
Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Bylaw number 9/2023, resolution 197/2023. Be it resolved that bylaw number 9/2023 to regulate the proceedings and conduct of the council and the committees thereof hereby be read a first time, be referred to council. Can I have a mover, please?
Grant.
Seconder?
Again, just updating bylaws. I know that this one's a bit more in depth of like, you know, your quorum and all, like your agenda, what you all have. Like, it's more regulating it for myself more than anything. But it does have, you know, what time your meetings are, when your joint meetings are, you know, what happens when in circumstance where you have to push a meeting back, that sort of thing. But just regulating your meetings and whatnot. So that's all in here. I have done changes as per Ray's email. I don't know why I had them in the evening meetings. I must just be from an old. So I did update that. That's why you read them. So thank you for reading the bylaw.
That's the old bylaw, that was
Yeah, yeah. So, and then
You
it
changed
just it's more like, and to remind this is basically why I did this as well, is to remind you all how meetings should be ran, right? So when you're speaking, you address the chair first, right? Like, you can't just belt out you have to, it's a procedure. It's something you guys need to be reminded of, and I don't know if I've ever mentioned that, but this is important to review, so you all are aware, right? Just, it's a professional thing, we should all be, you know, taking that into consideration, so. If you have any questions though, it's here, but that's basically it.
Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
You're welcome.
What's next? Unfinished business.
I don't know.
Joint resolutions. Resolution 198/2023, be it resolved that the joint committee approve and add in the 15th Annual Military Service Recognition Book in the amount of $340. The cost shared 50-50 between the town of Carberry and the municipality of North Cypress-Langford. We have a mover, please. Davidson, seconder. Harold,
This is an annual.
it's an annual deal. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Resolution 199, 2023, be it resolved that the joint committee approve the attendance of Teresa Parker at Module 5 of the MAMEC training program September 21st, 2023 in Brandon with cost including mileage and registration. And further be it resolved that the cost be shared 50-50 between the town of Carberry and the municipality of North Cypress-Langford. Can I have a mover, please? Malcolm, seconder. Harold? Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Resolution 200-2023, be it resolved that the joint committee hired Braden Knox as Green Team summer student with details outlined in the employment letter. And further be it resolved that the cost be shared 50-50 between the town of Carberry and the municipality of North Cypress-Langford. Have a mover, please. Harold, seconder. Homestead. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Resolution 201-2023, be it resolved that council accept the recommendation from Fire Chief Keith Loney for the appointments of officers to the Carberry North Cypress-Langford Fire Department as presented. Could I have a mover, please?
Yeah.
Seconder, Harold.
I can read off his letter so you're all aware. So with regards to my email correspondence and what happened at the last fire meeting, so the deputy chief will be Grady Stevenson, captain is Bart Witherspoon, captain and training officer is Clyde McCallum, lieutenant is William Wright or Billy Wright, and the fire inspector is Steve Denton. So those are all the appointments for the term.
Who's the fire inspector?
Steve Denton,
Oh, okay.
that's Emma Denton. Second.
Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Carried, thank you. General business, speed limit, Highway 5 intersection. I assume that's Highway 5 at number 1, is it?
Yeah, sorry, I did have this on there in case they didn't show up for the presentation.
Yep.
I think that what they're doing, they're trying, so, I have that, oh goodness, what's it called, the petition that everybody signed, so that's getting to like close to 3,000, signatures. Lots of people come in and I just, get them to sign if they do feel it. And it's important, I know things don't happen overnight, but I do feel that they're trying, and I understand that it's a very, very pressing issue. So we all need to just, kind of understand that, but again, I've addressed some what council is. I know Robbie sent some of his recommendations, so I have addressed them with that. If anybody has some kind of suggestion that they want me to forward on, I certainly can, that's fine. But as far as it goes, we're just looking out for our community, right? We want to make sure it's safe, so.
It's being talked about.
I think the presentation they gave was just about, at least we're in the loop, at least we're, we're knowing what's going on, so.
Okay, thank you very much, Trish, for that. Rescind Resolution 185, 2023. Resolution 202, 2023, be it resolved that council rescind Resolution 185, 2023 from July 10th, 2023. We have a mover, please. Seconder.
This resolution was the one that we appointed the deputy chief, that was the original, yeah.
Okay, any more questions on that? All in favor? Opposed? Carried, thank you. Supplementary taxes approval, resolution 203, 2023, be it resolved that the assessment changes as per section 306 and 326 of the Municipal Act be added to the 2023 assessment roll. Total added taxes, $114,118 in 2023. Total deleted taxes, $16,444.84. Net total, $97,673.39. Can we have a mover, please?
Grant.
Seconder.
So
Any
this would
question,
be.
comments there, Trish?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Sometimes when our taxes go out, we get the added assessments come in, so this is extra tax revenue from the municipality. And it'll be, from new builds or buildings that have been taken down, vice versa. So we've had a lot of development in our municipality, so this would be a reflection showing that, and it does reflect, so. And it's gonna keep going that way, I think, for a little while too, so it's not a bad thing.
Thank you. Any more questions? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Committee appointments, Resolution 204, 2023, be it resolved that council make the following board and committee appointments. Protective Services, Grant Jardine. Health Action Committee, Grant Jardine, Dallas Homestead, and Cypress Planning District, Ray Grayson and Rob Van Comer. We have a mover, please.
Davidson.
Seconder. Any questions, comments, or Trish?
No, this was more of a shakeup just in regards to some things that have come up, and some council just giving some feedback on a few things. So if it is an issue for anybody, let us know, but, I know sometimes it's hard to make meetings, I understand that, so if you feel like you're overloaded or anything like that, please let Ray or I know. We don't want you to feel that way, but, sometimes these committees are also, you gotta remember that they're volunteer committees, right? So they show up on their time and they expect the same from us as well, right? So just be cautious to that, but I just thought we could shake them up a little bit. And, if you, like I said, if you have any questions, ask Ray or myself. Okay, and I will notify your committees of the changes.
Is there a standard timeline for the changes, or they just pop up as new?
I'll keep you in the loop with those ones, yeah, sometimes they're kind of sporadic, but they're monthly more so, I think, right now.
Well, we went double action with health action, we just had one last week.
Right.
And I got some news that will go around the table. And we're gonna likely be having a very important meeting with Perry Mountain Health next week.
Would you mind just forwarding me the minutes or anything?
I'll send you the minutes,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
We can do that around the table.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'll certainly send those out, Dallas.
Any more comments? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Office cleaning services, Resolution 205, 2023, be it resolved that council approve the tendering for cleaning services at the municipal office from Elvira Rutz as presented, commencing August 1st, 2023. Can I have a mover, please?
Davidson.
Sharon, seconder, Grant?
Yes.
So
Question,
we
comments?
have never had a contract, for office cleaning services, so I just kind of amended it that way. I did send out tenders a little while ago. Because just to have
to do it,
something, you know, there are a few things that I would like to have done. So I have a contract now, it's going to be $650 monthly, which was the cheapest I got out of all the tenders, so,
They just about got rid of my coffee stain.
yeah. Anyway, so.
Any more comments, questions on that? All in favor?
Oh, grand.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Yeah.
Rail Safety Week. Resolution 206, 2023, whereas Rail Safety Week is to be held across Canada from September 18th to 24th, 2023. Whereas 232 railway crossings and trespassing incidents occur in Canada in 2022, resulting in 66 avoidable fatalities and 43 avoidable serious injuries. Whereas educating and informing the public about rail safety, reminding the public that railway right-of-ways are private property, enhancing public awareness of the dangers associated with highway grade crossings, ensuring pedestrians and motorists are looking and listening while near railways, and obeying established traffic laws will reduce the number of avoidable fatalities and injuries caused by incidents involving trains and citizens. And whereas Operations Lifesaver is a public-private partnership whose aim is to work with the public, rail industry, governments, police services, media, and others to raise rail safety awareness. Whereas CN has requested Municipal Council to adopt this resolution in support of its ongoing efforts to raise awareness, save lives, and prevent injuries in communities, including our municipality. Can I have a mover, please? Well, after I read that.
I was gonna say, are you out of breath now?
Seconder, Harold.
I didn't get all that. Can you read that again?
It's your turn. Any questions on that? All in favor? Opposed?
Good job, Ray.
Thank you.
I was gonna offer, but you just kept talking.
You can get the next one.
I don't have any more.
Outstanding account, resolutions 207, 2023. Be it resolved that council add the following account to tax rolls as listed. Roll number 210800, $83.67. We have a mover, please.
Grant.
Seconder. Malcolm. Any questions on that?
So this would be outstanding tipping fees with Evergreen. So it's construction that has been billed out that has not been paid for.
Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Carried, thank you. Okay, Grant, your turn. You want to read this one, please?
No, I'm not even the deputy dog.
I can read it if you want me to.
Go ahead.
Okay. So the Central Assiniboine Watershed District Expansion Proposal, Resolution number 208-2023, whereas Manitoba has prepared an expansion proposal for the Central Assiniboine Watershed District that supports watershed-based management in Manitoba and outlines the details of municipal participation in the Central Assiniboine Watershed District. And whereas Municipality North Cypress-Langford has been in communication with Manitoba regarding the expansion proposal of the Central Assiniboine Watershed District, and whereas Council of Municipality North Cypress-Langford understands the amendment to the Watershed District regulation will include the final details of participation in the Central Assiniboine Watershed District. Therefore, be it resolved, Municipality North Cypress-Langford supports the proposed area of the Municipality of North Norfolk and the Arm of Portage-la Prairie forming part of the Central Assiniboine Watershed District in accordance with the Watershed Districts Act and regulation.
Thanks, Trish.
Yep.
Have a mover, please. Seconder.
Grant.
So this, they're just adding them to the district, basically.
These two are starting, going to join in.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments? All in favor? Opposed? Carried, thank you. Health Action Committee Newsletter, Resolution 209-2023, be it resolved that council cover the costs of $500 for printing of Health Action Committee newsletter. Can I have a mover, please?
Grant.
Seconder. Any discussion on this?
I know that we talked about it at our last meeting, just in regards to, I think Grant, you mentioned to, like, we talked about another alternative for the newsletter, like it be sent out like via social media instead of printing, because obviously it costs quite a bit. I think going forward with the printing, that can be something that comes from council as well. Like, I don't know how many newsletters you're going to be doing.
They're doing quarterly, and
So it's just
something I'm trying to massage now.
Yeah, I do think, and I mean, I can also reiterate the same thing too. I mean, I get a lot of people don't have social media and a lot of people don't have internet either or whichever, but we always have them here at the office for people to pick up as well. So it's just to kind of eliminate costs for them and us, right?
Mailed out?
Yes, they are. So, I don't know if that's ready
This
for.
is basically giving everyone in the community an
Yes.
update on what's happened, what's gonna be, what's going in the future.
Mhm.
It's actually quite a well done.
It's very well done,
Oh, it's
yes,
good.
yeah, I'm just trying to
Just
eliminate.
for everybody that gets their mail here,
Mostly in the Carter district, in Ward 3 and Alton, Earls and Dells doesn't go up much. There's hardly anything goes from the Langford, I don't think.
I wasn't trying to like kibosh this at all, it's just, it's to save costs for them and us, right, like, it's.
Does the
it's
town pay
not-
$500 to?
Yes,
Yes.
Just seems like a lot of money to
It
start
does.
putting out for some
It'd
things.
usually
and-
be like, well, people not buying papers and much of that, we could probably recycle some little paper pickup boxes, like, the door kind of like, and
Yeah.
like the post offices, just in little spots in the district, and you can take one if you want one, right?
Yeah,
You know, like they could, for example, give me 50 for Wellwood.
yeah.
We're up to.
Yeah, exactly,
And
like when you're
Harvard.
doing your route, you can do
Yeah.
some drop-offs and,
I've suggested many things, but
Okay,
they
yeah.
wanna just personalize, thinking that that's the right.
first time maybe, we'll chat.
Yeah, yeah. But this is their second newsletter.
yes it is,
Yeah, and the first one they paid for,
they did, yeah.
yeah, all. And well, anyway, I'll go around the table.
Yeah.
Any more questions on that? Call the question then, all in favor? Opposed? All of them carried. Thank you. Tile drainage project, west 8/14/15 and west 17/14/15 WPM.
I had sent this to.
This was sent out.
You guys,
Yep.
just not too long ago, Wednesday actually.
Breeze, yep.
I would suggest tabling this.
Okay,
It's not signed by the landowners, and there could be some question as to crossing some district boundaries,
okay,
and perhaps some other issues to address with the drainage officer before.
yeah, I did forward this to Ingrid and she's away, so,
Yeah, okay.
I'll wait for her comments.
Just
Yeah.
Wait till she gets back, there's no.
Yeah, I just, thought I'd put it on here so it's on here,
Yeah.
but, yeah, I'll wait for comments and then we can add it to the.
This was something that was tried a few years ago too.
Yeah.
Came back.
Mhm.
Similar thing was shot down a couple of
Okay.
times,
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
We can table that till later then.
Thank you.
Land leases.
So I sent out some correspondence to our land leasees, just in regards to either the option is there that they could buy the property instead of leasing it, or what their preference would be. So some indicated that they would consider buying it, some indicated that they would rather just keep paying the lease. The ones that have inquired about buying, I'm going to reach out to. I have come up with some numbers from assessment, just in regards to, you know, how much we could offer them. So what I'll do is I'll do up a spreadsheet for council to review and make sure that it makes sense. Again, I'm not going to push these individuals. Some of them, the leases just make sense that they would just buy it because they can only access the property anyway, right? So there's some that make sense and some that are actually kind of grandfathered through the family. So I did indicate to them that I don't wanna, you know, we're not looking to just take it under their feet and sell it. We wanna give them all opportunity. I have had individuals ask about the pricing, so I will reach out to them and see where we can go. It would be better if that would be the case and then, you know, it's off our hands and it's theirs. It might be a little bit of cost for us just for transfer land purposes, that sort of thing, but I think it makes sense. But those who wanna continue leasing, we might have to up the lease amounts because of the, yeah, we have to.
Once you figure out who's buying and who's keeping leasing, could we look at maybe doing one of those projects, nature conservancy?
Yeah, there was one,
Yeah.
that
Good
in,
idea.
One quarter specifically would be good for them.
Yeah. just
yeah,
probably a few, but
Yeah.
I was in
One,
touch
yeah.
with, I don't remember what his name, the gentleman that was here, from Nature Conservancy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I asked him specifically, like, I don't know, like, I showed him which land we've got leased and, you know, kind of the area, and I asked him to just kind of reach out to me, because, I mean, I wanna know what their after too, and
Yeah.
it depends, because a lot of the grazing land, they're really interested in, so, him and I are gonna have another meeting in another couple weeks here, so, I mean,
It's grazing land on the aquifer,
Yeah.
right, so it's in
Yeah.
their
needs
target,
to
I
be
think.
protected,
Makes sense,
yes.
yeah.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it'd be still a lease, but we'd own it still, but it,
Yeah,
again, we
and
just.
then we'd
We'd
have
get
the
revenue from
conservation.
We would get the revenue from
if
that,
there
right?
is,
Yeah,
Mhm.
so I've definitely been in touch with him because I think it's important, so, yeah, that's
Good.
my update on the land leases.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Rescind Resolution 186, 2023, Resolution 2010, 2023, be it resolved the Council rescind Resolution 186, 2023 from July 10th, 2023. We have a mover, please. Seconder.
So this would be a resolution we passed last meeting, in regards to the Fairview dump tender, from Works Brothers. We're not going ahead with that one because there has been lots of changes to that. So we are going to postpone this work and table it for January to get that up and going. It was a lot of money for that project,
Yeah.
and I don't feel that it's fair for the municipality or the contractor. Like, we need to have more opportunity
Yeah,
for.
we need a full tendering
Yeah.
process.
Yeah, so we'll be doing that new year is what the plan is, so.
Any more questions? All in favor? Opposed? Carried, thank you very much. Nothing added to the agenda?
Not that I'm aware of, unless somebody's got something up their sleeve.
Communications, Carberry Area Community Foundation, $1,000 grant awarded.
Yeah, just give me a second, you're so fast today. So, yeah, the Community Foundation did a live, like a draw at the parade, for $1,000 grant. And the grant was awarded to the Egg Society. So, they just wanna let us know, cause they are in there. And it does say that the donors specified that they would like the money to be used for the roundhouse. That's that building at the egg grounds that we were talking about a little while ago, so, I mean, I don't know the plan for that, I think they kinda kiboshed it because it was going to be so
I don't think it's
expensive.
gonna be moved unless.
But they might do updates
Right,
to the
yeah.
property, yeah, so that's, yeah, that's about.
Okay, Manitoba Finance, Manitoba Hydro Tree Debris, I think, did everybody
Yeah.
read that?
Yeah, I think this is something that we have to discuss,
How does this apply though, like when it's crown land and highways? Like,
Yeah, good question.
we don't own the land, we're not the property owner, we're not the traffic controller there.
Yeah. It's not on the property.
Yeah.
so what I would like council's blessing to reply to this. And I would actually really like the minister to come out and explain to us why this is our, remember the last, I think,
Yeah.
last term, we
Yeah,
had
last
somebody
term.
come out,
Yeah, we
and
on
I think it was
Zoom.
Jeff
It was a
Wharton.
Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
Zoom meeting.
And he indicated that, you know, it actually, we expressed our concerns, and he indicated that, you know, if this was ongoing, that they would help us or work with us. Well, that's not the case here. And I understand that, you know, there's changeovers and blah, 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 but this to me seems like, right, like,
Could you
they
get
don't.
one of them to come to our meeting?
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna ask, if it's okay if I respond to this email,
Yeah. Yep.
or this letter, and I will get.
Yeah. Property's owner comes clean up, well, if it's the crown and highways.
Yep, I think
And
it's,
semesters.
But our own municipal ditches, what's happening is what's,
yeah, I think with
I know.
regards to that, we need to.
Yeah, that's one thing.
Yeah, but what happened here was completely wrong,
Yeah.
like it was handled wrong, so, anyway,
okay.
I will
You can
get
dig
back
further
to
into that,
you.
good.
Uh-huh.
Please.
The next
Minister of
one.
Intergovernmental Affairs Rural Transit Solutions Fund.
Yeah, so the approval was given to our, handy van for a purchase of a new accessible vehicle to provide safe and reliable transportation for us, so that's good. I don't know how much, it says the maximum contribution is
Yeah.
$174,407.
This is for new handicap.
Yeah.
Yeah, there used to be funding like this.
Yes.
That has been the whole term, I don't know if it was passing for that, so we've
Yeah,
We
it
had to
used to
buy
be,
our own handyman, so this is
I
good.
think it was called the Small Transit Fund,
Yeah.
and they kiboshed that. I think I've heard that they are bringing it back somehow, but I
I
don't
know
know.
a convention last year, they did
Yeah,
this.
but it used to be that they would give us a grant every year,
Yeah,
and
it was a
really,
given
yeah,
thing,
not
but
very.
then all of a sudden it just wasn't there.
Yeah, just,
Yeah,
Bruce Plains Detachment.
they have been very busy.
Yes, yeah.
Sorry, it's sideways, but.
Okay, Prairie Mountain Health, out of region physician recruitment.
We did, I think I sent this out
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
PMH will offer a recruitment incentive of $75,000 to all new physician recruits through PMH. So they're actively searching, so
Yep.
they're just keeping us in the loop.
Municipal
that.
Relations 2022 audited financial statements.
So this, I have actually replied to this, email because it's not only us, there's about, I think there's 22% of municipalities have actually completed their 2022 audited financial statements. So we're not alone. Our 2021 audit is done and drafted, I just got that Friday afternoon. So we will be passing that right away. I might have to call a special meeting from council to get that done. And then we have a new auditor doing our 2022 audited, but again, I've reiterated to our auditors that our funds are being held up for gas tax because our audit is not done. And they do have requirements by the act that they have to meet, and I'm not sure, we don't have a contract with them, right? So it's unfortunate, but we can't have any sort of, penalty for them, whichever, but our new auditors, there is a contract in place, but unfortunately, because our audit for this year, for 2021 is taking so long, our contract for 2022 is kinda gonna be, yeah, well, it'll still be in place, they are aware of what's going on, so, it's very frustrating, let's just, so, anyway.
Okay, thank you. Blue Hills Detachment, quarterly report again.
Yeah.
Around the table, Harold, we'll start with you.
When, has everybody been reading the Brandon Sun about RMED? Should we not, we've been talking about this for quite a while, shouldn't we get a committee struck to partner with them?
I've been, in webinars with Armin, they haven't actually, they've done up a new, it's a tool that they're using.
Yeah, get information gathering.
Yeah, so I've been in touch with them and I actually don't have a meeting scheduled, but that's something on my list to do, Harold, is to get, so I think we have a committee and I believe it's you three actually on that committee, on the economic development side of things. So, but yeah, RMED is newish, and they have created a tool, for rural municipalities to use, so that they can, we can put our information through them as well to engage in, businesses and that sort of thing. But yeah, I will maybe schedule a meeting with RMED and then maybe we could meet with them. Again, it's on my list, but it wasn't a right now thing, but they are new and I think that would be very beneficial for us to use, so. That's what I was thinking, yes, like in October or November-ish, yeah. If that's okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else, Harold?
No, that's it.
Thank you. Oh,
Thanks to the guys for keeping the roads in good shape, even though it's been so dry, it's been difficult, and sod mowing's basically done up in my ward, same thing, thanks to the guys.
Oh,
go ahead.
what else I had was, kudos to the crew at the cemetery. Should go walk out and look at the cemetery right now, it looks nice. Considering they're having extreme difficulties with the drought, and basically their volunteers for keeping it clear are dying off on them.
Right.
So considering the situation, I think cemetery looks pretty good.
Good.
Yeah, it does, it's a big improvement, the weeds were getting pretty out of control there, so.
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
Thanks, Harold. Milton, Ellis.
Thanks to everybody that helped out and came out to the staff function last week. Note to self, I noticed Casey didn't eat anything. I'm thinking he maybe was gluten-free that I didn't know about.
Okay, well, to remember that.
I'm trying to mark down, I would.
Okay.
And I
Casey
can try to
gluten-free?
remember to just
Right,
ask.
maybe ask if
Sure.
Casey has dietary issues,
Yeah.
So we know what to do.
Yeah, because we were
Yeah,
thinking, like, is it?
I would
I did
never
re- I
even
did
notice
notice.
that.
I know we had one there for another person
Notice
last,
he didn't have
last year, but after he went
Yeah.
through, he was, oh, I didn't pick up that pizza too.
Okay, well, if you just make sure you send me a follow.
Yeah, I know,
Maybe
but
buy
I'll ask that.
yeah.
Okay,
I didn't even
Maybe
notice
if
that
that
was
wants to
so.
like take a photo.
okay.
And I wanna get rocking on the Christmas function, just because, it took so long to get stuff done last time, but, so I'd like to get just
Yeah.
general approval for the milestone awards again this year. Are we okay with the same kinda
Yes.
sputter jacket? And then, you know, for last year, like between town, we kind of thought about, I've never really done, the council milestones, but I'd like to see what we thought about doing like the 5, 10, 15s for, so that's never been done, so I didn't know if wanted the same kind of gifts for increments, like shirts for 5 and.
I think so.
I think there's something that should be done.
Yeah.
I know we used to have them in the Langford all the time.
Yeah, right, and it's just never
5-year
been
increments, yeah.
done, so town, I know, it was kind of assuming we were doing it for, they were surprised we didn't do it for the councilors at the end of last time.
Should
So,
be.
yeah, definitely, so,
Well, maybe they should do.
oh yeah, Bill's the man,
Okay,
he's
good.
been,
I was
really
just
fair.
kidding, I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, so as long as
Okay,
you're
that's-
okay,
yeah.
we'll just do that. And
For
any
sure.
different ideas that you wanna do for Christmas would be awesome, something that's a little bit more
Oh,
engaging.
I know, I was talking to the girls about that, we'll have to talk
Right,
about that.
there was, one suggestion that we kind of, just, it's not costly, but hire someone to come in and like manage like a trivia kind of thing, just to get people kind of mingling and chatting and
Yeah.
something, right? Not just supper and sit quietly in your own segregated little groups, then, so, any ideas?
Okay.
Shoot over. Other than that, I think I am good.
Brown.
Me?
Yep.
Trish did.
Well, we're coming back this way.
No communication from Grady on Prairie Mountain Health. Okay, I got a zip it, but I got explosive news being announced next week. There's gonna be a meeting called next week sometime, and it's from Prairie Mountain Health, and I can't really say nothing because the code of silence is put on it for now. But it's
Big
explosive,
news?
very good news,
Good news, okay.
and that's it.
Okay, thank you. Sharon.
I don't have anything.
Well, you're next.
Your building, yeah, because I missed it. Oh,
Two
go back.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, seeing that Cypress planning and building were always at the same time, right, you just wanted Rob to be in building. Where's that joint? Like, we always run those
That
two.
was joint
That was
in
joint.
building. The joint.
Oh, that's
meeting
right, it
building.
goes to, yeah,
Yeah.
I got it.
Okay. Not too much other than the, also, thanks to the staff appreciation, you guys, you went over very well, I think, had a good turnout there, so, and, took my daughter and grandkids in the parade there we did, so, it was a good deal, there was a pile of people around.
Yeah.
Very good, so. Other than that, things are going good, I think, so.
Okay.
Go ahead, Trish.
Okay. Just thank you to you guys for putting on that staff lunch. It was very much appreciated from the staff, so appreciated. A&M golf tournament, Dallas, Ray, and Robbie and I went, and it was a blast. It was good. I had a question come up about the transportation of dangerous goods training. So Dan at the dump has his now lapsed, so I do need to renew it. It's going to be a cost, I don't know how much, but I do feel that it's important for him to have it, and I think that one of the public works staff should at least have it as well, because they are dealing with, certain stuff that they should be. Yeah, so we're having, that's in the conversation, so just as long as you guys are okay, I mean, it has to happen, so. Regional emergency, so Teresa and I met with the new regional emergency measures coordinator, Rob DeBrule, I believe his name is. he looks after our area in case of an emergency, so we just kind of touched base and we clarified a few things, so it was a good meeting, yeah.
So if he makes it an emergency,
He
you get
actually
paid next
indicated that,
time?
unless we reach out, they do know, except like, let's say for a fire exit, for example, they are aware, unless they are needed here, they normally don't show up. So what happened the last time shouldn't have happened,
Mhm.
right? I'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
But he's a pretty good, he seems like he's a good guy, so it'll be interesting. I mean, hopefully we don't have anything in the near future with a natural disaster, but,
Kidding.
Fairground Road, I did have somebody come in regards to, so the Fairground Road that goes just right by the grounds there, like that's south of town. I had somebody come in, cause it is in our jurisdiction, to reduce the sign, or the speed there. There was a sign put down the ditch, which the guys did put back up, but there also is a few things happening there. It's like a gathering for teenagers apparently, so I have reported it to the RCMP, there's been an incident there and there's, some ongoing issues, but,
Where along the road or?
Yeah. like when you drive into the fairgrounds there, that's sort of hangout spot, they kinda linger in there.
Oftentimes too, there's that second entrance, the like little kind of hangout
Yes.
between the buildings, they're kind of other sight lines.
Yeah, so, I did just have an individual, he was, walking his dog or something, and somebody had flown, like, over the tracks and, like, almost hit him kind of thing, so, I mean, you can put all the signage up you want, and I did indicate this to him as well, it's hard to get that through people's heads, but, the sign has been put up again, the speed limit sign, and, it is what I can do. If you hear about it, though, that I've kind of dealt with it. We are losing our tech guy, Boyd Kissig, so he is done, he'll be done end of the month actually. So I am looking into hiring a consulting or an IT company, which is not cheap. I've reached out to MicroAge in Winnipeg and also IT consulting out of Brandon, so it's Brandon Computers.
You guys have a local source too, I'm pretty sure, Schneider's son
Okay.
isn't in the TV thing.
Okay. Yeah, so, I've looked into a couple options, so it's something that I've not budgeted for this year, because I didn't think we would use him. So this might be an expense that you guys might just have to,
Want somebody like
it's an unexpected.
Elton or them, what do
They use Brandon Consulting, and I think it's very important to have a great, team for that sort of thing. Cybersecurity, that sort of thing, that's very important nowadays too, right? So we have to be covered, it doesn't matter what.
Is there anything you want Rose to do before he's gone,
Boyd?
sorry,
Yeah, he, as far as updates, we do the updates here, unless we have something crashing down, we don't really need them, right? So, but, we have to get somebody regardless, so.
I've had nothing, but I personally have a VPN, and I personally am on a different, not Ericsson, I'm on Starlink, and I've had zero issues ever since I've been that route.
The benefit of Brandon Computers is that they have an in with Westman Communications Group, so that's who we have our internet through. So he did indicate that he could bring costs down for us that way too, it'd be nice, but I'm looking into other options, I'm not gonna go with the first one that comes up, but we do need to have somebody
in place.
Yeah, they're going to come and do an assessment in our computers and see what needs updated and what, what can be kind of revised, that sort of thing, so, anyway, that's an expense that you can see coming, just letting you know. Yeah. So then, sorry, I've got two more things. Project 911, it's for first responders, I believe Grady mentioned this at the last joint meeting. It's going to be on September 13th, at the hall, I believe. So they've asked if councils could fund or assist in funding, that project going, like just the event being put on, I guess. So I didn't know if you guys would be interested in something like that. He did indicate the request that he asked would be between $1,000 and $1,500 of each council. So I don't know what the town is going to go ahead with. I don't know much about the event, I just know that it's called Project 911 and it is for the first responders, just in regards to the incident and helping out with community members, that sort of thing. So it is important, but I don't know, they're supposed to be giving me some more information on that. if you guys are in support of it, that's fine, but you guys can discuss that.
You know, possibly we have to make a decision before we find out what the town does, so it'd be nice to find out what the town does first. But either way.
It's happening.
This one is
Yeah.
pretty important for what
For sure.
we've just been through here,
Sure.
so I think it's well worthwhile having this.
Yeah, and he said the ask was for between 1,000 and 1,500, so I don't know. But if you wanna wait and see, that's fine too.
Are you gonna have to have another special meeting for
Well,
this?
we don't have a meeting until the 11th, right, so their
Yeah.
event's on the 13th, so we could,
It'd be nice to know ahead of time. If you
Yeah.
wanna make one now, make
it's up,
some
whoever, if anybody.
decision, or what's everybody's feeling on something like that?
Yeah.
Is this a support meeting for all
Yes.
911 people? This is what it is. This will be to pay for the professionals to come out and do the talking.
I think it's just to cover costs on whatever.
And rental of the hall, I would imagine.
Like I said, I don't know exactly what's all involved with the event, I just know that it is there for first responders, emergency coordinator, that sort of thing for it.
I don't have a lot of choice.
I think we need to support something like
Make
this.
a motion that we approve it up to $1,500.
So the town's putting 1,500 into.
It's,
We
he
don't
said
know.
We don't know.
between,
The ask is the same on both sides.
It may not happen, but at least it's there.
Mhm.
do you guys have an amount?
Like I said, up to 15.
Okay, so I'll just, to maximum, is that what I can do? Right, a 15, is that what you want me to do?
Yeah.
Great, I got something to add before you start.
Sounds
Go ahead, you got something there?
Yeah, well, not on this,
Oh, okay, nothing to do with this then?
no.
Okay.
Is that okay, up to
That's
maximum?
pretty close. Malcolm?
Should be all right.
Okay,
Resolution 211-2023.
it will be, sorry, is it 211, am I right? Yep, I am right.
Are you?
Yeah,
No, 212, we've already gone to, oh, we haven't gone into.
yeah, I know, I gotta
Right,
change the
you're
number there.
correct, yeah.
Okay, okay.
Resolution 211-2023, be it resolved that council support the project 911 for the first responders being held on September 13th, 2023, up to a maximum of $1,500. Malcolm moved that, we have a seconder,
Yeah.
Dallas. Any questions, further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried, thank you very much.
And then the last thing, I think I sent an email regarding our phones for the public workshops and how much it's costing us. So I've had a discussion with Matt, and he seems to be on board with kiboshing the landlines, because they do contact us, and then we forward the calls to Matt. So I feel that it's an expense that we could kibosh. The only thing is Brookdale's shop is there's no cell reception in there. So if Matt is trying to get a hold of Casey or whoever's in there, he can't. He has said that it's fine, but we do need a booster in there. So,
The
It'll-
cell booster is.
yeah, so we do have a cell booster in the Langford shop because of the cell
Yeah.
thing, and if it's okay,
I think that's right.
I would rather save money, I mean, it's a one-time expense for the cell booster, and then kibosh the phones, and then we're saving money regardless, so.
That's a-
If you're okay with me doing that,
Sure.
Still smart with the ones that we did in the
Yes.
laws.
yeah, I don't know who got the NEPA ones.
Or do they do any faxing underneath one? Or do you need?
So faxing, we
the landline?
kibosh that, because I mean, if you guys do the timesheets, they actually just send a picture to Tracer, like,
Okay.
and it's quite,
I
yeah,
know, yep.
so. And that's all I have.
Excellent.
Finally done.
Good enough, thank
Yeah, just
you.
gotta add
Oh, yeah.
something, right? With my explosive announcement, there's gonna be a request from town council and our council for additional funds. Maybe, we don't know, we'll know next week. Okay.
Okay,
Great. Thank you, everybody. In camera, resolution 211-2023, be it resolved, no, this is
212, yeah.
2023, be it resolved that council as a committee of the whole move into in camera to discuss personnel matters. Can I have a mover, please?
Okay.
Yeah, seconder, Malcolm, all in favor? Thank you.